What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 1RP1. The second release of Reiatsu stunned the entire Marine headquarters. Next chapter advertisement Marine headquarters, military town. Gion Vice Admiral is back. Vice Admiral is so powerful. I heard that she caught 2 more pirates with a bounty of over 100 million this time. If this continues, it won't be long before she will be promoted to Admiral. Did you see that? That training camp is where Gion Vice Admiral is teaching today. I really want to see the style of Gion Vice Admiral. Gion Vice Admiral is not only strong enough, but also very beautiful. Yes, you can obviously rely on your face to make a living, but you have to rely on your talent. Wow, it's so inspiring. In the military town, many people were discussing in the streets and alleys. The 3 admirals in the Marine headquarters have fewer shots. Usually the things they do when it's their turn are not simple. On the contrary, the attendance rate of Vice Admirals and Rear Admirals is higher. Among them, Momousagi Gion is one of the best. Countless people are optimistic that she will become the next Admiral of Marine headquarters. Or one day, after a big achievement, he will be directly promoted to the 4th Admiral. Woo! But as soon as they finished speaking, a harsh and short siren suddenly sounded throughout the Marine headquarters base. What happened? Sengoku, who was in the office at the moment, frowned slightly, walked to the window, and looked at the comm port outside, feeling a little confused. Could it be that another blind pirate attacked their Marine headquarters in order to become famous? The other Vice Admirals and Admirals who were at the Marine headquarters were also slightly curious about the reason for the alarm sound. Advertisement, but then a shocking news spread throughout Marine headquarters. Gion Vice Admiral was attacked by an unknown enemy while bathing and has now fallen into a coma. What? How is this possible? This is at the Marine headquarters. Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, immediately exclaimed and stood up, ignoring the mobilization meeting currently being held for his subordinates. Yes, and aren't Vice Admiral Garp and Kizaru Admiral both at the headquarters? Even if the 4 emperors attack, there is no way they can knock down Gion Vice Admiral silently. Damn it, didn't you just hear that? Gion Vice Admiral is taking a bath, so he must have been attacked by a sneak attack. Who did it? We must find this despicable attacker. That's right, rescue him. I see, all personnel blockade all ports and aviation fields, search for people. Yes, the entire Marine headquarters entered a state of preparation for war. Momousagi was knocked down silently. When you found her, she was unconscious with no signs of fighting. How is this possible? Marshal Sengoku heard the phone bug report from his subordinates. I was also stunned for a moment. This was at the Marine headquarters. It seems that there is a bit of trouble. I didn't even notice it. Kizaru, who was leisurely drinking tea, also slowly put down the teacup in his hand. Garp, you bastard, can you stop sleeping and get up? Did you notice anything just now? Sengoku looked at Garp, who was still heartless and unaware, and was sleeping soundly after eating his food. If you don't hit a spot, you'll start roaring immediately. Ah, is it time for dinner? Garp woke up from his sleep. He was still not sure. Because Sengoku's expression looks wrong, it's up to you. Marshal Sengoku was about to say something. The climate environment of the entire Marine headquarters suddenly turned gloomy. Then there was a terrifying pressure that Marshal Sengoku had never encountered in his life. Advertisement invisibly suppressed directly from high altitude. Defending an invisible island weighs directly on their souls. There was a buzzing sound, as if the air had been crushed. Garp's expression also changed. What's this? Conqueror's Haki? But he'd never seen such a terrifying Conqueror's Haki? It feels scarier than Conqueror's Haki. At this moment, their souls felt like they were frozen. Strong men like Sengoku and Garp subconsciously use Haki to resist. It's almost instinctive, but it's better not to resist. As soon as they resisted, they felt this terrifying force, like a raging tsunami, constantly impacting their souls. One wave after another, endlessly, and each wave is more fierce than the last. At the moment of being caught off guard, Garp and Sengoku were so horrified that they couldn't even utter a word. After looking at each other, you can see the shock in each other's eyes. They once hunted down the current #1 Conqueror's Haki, red-haired Shanks. But even the red-haired Shanks doesn't have such terrifying aura and intimidation. And this power and breath are so strange. Advertisement. No, not completely unfamiliar. It seems to be the breath of his lost brother and son. But isn't he very weak? Sengoku couldn't help but think. Just when the two were about to resist with all their strength. This terrifying pressure suddenly disappeared. Then, Sengoku looked out the window again. Countless Marines were lying scattered throughout the Marine headquarters. They all couldn't bear the intimidation and passed out. Including the Flying Squirrel currently at the headquarters, the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral. Even Kizaru was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat at this moment. He quickly drank tea to calm down his shock. What kind of monster is this? Is the enemy coming? If so, I'm afraid we will be in big trouble. With that said, he stood up and looked for Sengoku to discuss. But when I went out, I saw the entire Marine headquarters in a coma. At this moment, the entire Marine headquarters is still standing, staying awake, and not fainting from the intimidation. There are only 3 people left, Marine Headquarters Admiral Kizaru, Marine Hero Garp, and Marine Marshal Sengoku. Sengoku, this is. Garp looked at Sengoku in disbelief. Trying to get some answers from him. Perhaps, I know who it is. But I feel. It's very unrealistic, isn't it a dream? Sengoku said solemnly. Let me punch you. Roll. As soon as you open and close your eyes, the world changes. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. Fortunately, no one else saw this scene at the Marine headquarters. Otherwise, it will definitely cause an uproar throughout the world. Although there are not many strong people in the Marine headquarters during non-combat periods. But at this moment, only 3 strong men could stay awake. This is too scary. If word spreads, it may cause turmoil in the entire world. Not even the 4 emperors can calm down. Want to know what their Marine headquarters is? It is the largest armed force organization in the world, bar none. Although world government has many departments, but the strongest force enforcement agency is undoubtedly the Marine headquarters. After initial speculation, the 3 of Sengoku Garp Kizaru came together and came to a conclusion. That's a natural and upgraded Conqueror's Haki, unparalleledly powerful. Because even Kizaru's Logia ability was completely unable to be elementalized just now. The ordinary Conqueror's Haki alone cannot achieve this. Only the top-notch Conqueror's Haki, which is capable of entangling substantial attacks, can have such power. But that kind of Haki doesn't seem to be so exaggerated. About 3 hours later, advertisement the entire Marine headquarters was stunned with the help of those who were the first to wake up. Gradually wake up, after waking up, many Marine generals were stunned on the spot. Because they have never encountered such an outrageous thing in their lives. When I woke up, there was a 4th admiral in the Marine headquarters, Black Crow. This efficiency is too fast and too high. At the Marine headquarters at this moment, all officers rear admiral and above. Everyone was summoned to the highest conference room, and sitting in the chair was Marshal Sengoku. Next to them are Vice Admiral Garp and Kizaru Admiral, as well as the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and others. Marshal Sengoku, are you kidding me? We have a 4th admiral at Marine headquarters? The Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral was completely confused. He only remembered that he suddenly lost consciousness. After waking up, he was urgently summoned to the Marine headquarters for a meeting. As a result, Marshal Sengoku was the first to announce that he had reported it to the 5 elders. From now on, Levi, the former Marine recruit, will be promoted to the 4th Admiral of Marine headquarters. Even though Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, is usually well behaved, he is also extremely polite. But at this moment I have to say, damn it, the world is changing so fast. When he closed his eyes and opened them, Marine had an admiral. What's this? It's not that he can't keep up with the times, it's that the times have completely left him behind. Who can tell him what is going on? Advertisement. How many years have these vice admirals struggled? The ultimate destination for many is the Marine admiral. As a result, one of the 3 admirals has not yet finished, and he becomes the marshal to make room. There is a 4th admiral at the headquarters. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. What happened? Even if there are excellent talents in Marine, it is outrageous to be directly promoted from recruit to Marine admiral. This is against the rules. Besides, Marine headquarters has always been. Are there only 3 admirals? The Ghost Spider Vice Admiral was also slightly dissatisfied. The other Marine Vice Admiral also had some opinions. Is it related to the Special Conqueror's Haki pressure just now? Crane Vice Admiral crossed his hands in front of him and asked silently. As soon as these words came out, the other Vice Admirals immediately woke up. They were too immersed in the news announced by Marshal Sengoku just now. So much so that they failed to think of such a simple thing immediately. But we can't blame them. After all, there is suddenly an admiral. This kind of thing is too shocking. For a time they cannot fully control their rational side. The only exception is Crane Vice Admiral. I know you are full of doubts and have opinions, but if you can do a Conqueror's Haki like Levi recruit and stun all the people below the Admiral level in the entire Marine headquarters, I will give you the position of Marine Marshal. Sengoku the Marshal glanced at everyone present. How could Marshal Sengoku not know what they were thinking? If you haven't experienced it personally, he wouldn't be so anxious. In just a few hours, using a privilege he rarely used. Advertisement. He directly and strongly recommended that the 5 elders agree with him to promote Levi to the 4th Admiral. Because he knew that boy, he was the orphan of his comrade. A month ago, when he went to visit his old friend, he learned that his old friend had passed away. Leaving him an orphan, Sengoku brought him back for safety reasons. But when he was brought back, this kid was not very willing to be a Marine. He kept clamoring about going home to inherit the inheritance. Now this guy has such great strength. If you don't offer enough ships, let him stay. It would definitely be a loss for the entire Marine, and even the entire world, if he really wanted to go home and inherit the inheritance. This, although he Vice Admiral reminded everyone just now. But personally heard Marshal Sengoku say it, they were still in shock and disbelief. That one just now was really Conqueror's Haki. Is it not a person with special abilities? How could it be so strong? Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, swallowed secretly, feeling a little unsure and unacceptable. He is the Vice Admiral of Marine headquarters. At sea, he is a pirate with a bounty of hundreds of millions. He also has the ability to grab, but it's just Conqueror's Haki's deterrent. He didn't even have the ability to resist at all just now. This is too terrible. If it is said to be a person with abilities, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and others may be more accepting. But if it were a pure Conqueror's Haki, how strong would he be? Let him ask himself this. Gion, Levi, come in, Marshal Sengoku shouted softly toward the door. In Sengoku's eyes, although there was shock, there was also relief and the tenderness of an elder. 3. Full Reiatsu. I wanted to go home and inherit the inheritance, so I was named Admiral. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi is a time traveler. Different from ordinary time travelers. He was a soul traveler. As soon as he traveled through time, he learned that Marine Vice Admiral's father, whom he had never met, was dead. On an island, there are many shops operating. If nothing else goes wrong, he will inherit these shops and become a young master from a wealthy family who does not have to worry about food and drink. This was good, basically no different from his previous life. If I had to say something different, it would be that the risk factor in this world is a little higher. Even if you have money, it may not be safe, but if you have no money, it will be even more unsafe. Because Levi didn't wait for the essential cheat system for time travelers. Levi does not intend to be a high-profile person, but only intends to act in a low-key manner. Then make good use of the funds in hand, and you will have a wealth of 1 billion. Levi feels that using his title as a business genius, he can manage his funds well and protect himself. It should probably be. Not a problem. If he doesn't do this, there's nothing he can do. After all, there's no cheat. You can only rely on yourself. As long as you are not unlucky enough to meet those big shots, you should be confident. But I am worried about what will happen, and the family property has not been inherited yet. Advertisement. One of the most famous people on the sea, Martial Marine, Buddha Sengoku, came here. He said that in order to prevent their family from becoming extinct, they had to go to the Marine headquarters to learn some skills no matter what. After that, he wanted to live a good life before coming out again, and hinted that he would definitely take care of himself. Facing the Marshal of Marine headquarters, does Levi have a choice? No. So I could only follow Marshal Sengoku to the Marine headquarters. Levi thought it was okay at first, although life here is not that rich. But the island has also entrusted someone to handle it, so the money will not be lost. Because of Sengoku's relationship, Levi is at home in the headquarters and can live freely. Sengoku didn't control him strictly. He didn't expect Levi to be an outstanding Marine. Just have some selfish feelings towards your comrades and let him learn some skills to protect himself. After all, the world is in chaos, and he is also a bit doting on Levi. Levi originally thought that he could retire honorably after just half a year, learning 1 or 2 moves. Unexpectedly, today, the system suddenly appeared. It is detected that the host soul is completely integrated with the body. The sign-in system is activated. After activation, 1,000 attribute points are obtained. The detected location is Marine Headquarters, a famous venue, and 3,000 attribute points are obtained. You can choose your own attributes to add points to upgrade. Then a light curtain appeared in front of Levi, with 5 attributes to choose from. Reiatsu, Haki, Swordsmanship, Taijutsu, Essence User. Take a look at it. Do you still have to choose? Advertisement. No need at all, it's too obvious. I won't talk about those ability users with obvious flaws. Swordsmanship, physical skills, these are things that clearly require close combat with people. Totally inconsistent with Levi's values, because he is lazy and doesn't want to take risks. He doesn't think that if he has a system and travels through time, he will definitely not die. And there are too many strong people in this world who are excellent in physical skills and swordsmanship. If you choose these 2 aspects by yourself, you may not be able to surpass them in the future. Conqueror's Haki is a good choice, it's just that Reiatsu has everything Conqueror's Haki has. In terms of deterrence and real damage, Reiatsu has it all. And Reiatsu comes from the Shinigami world, and the power level of this world far exceeds that of the entire pirate world. Just look at how Aizen suppressed the flow of energy that was going to collapse the whole world with just one thought of Reiatsu. Reiatsu's ability is extremely terrifying, and it directly damages the soul. Even a strong man like Kaido, who has invincible defense, cannot defend the soul. Add Reiatsu to me. You can solve the enemy's problems with just one thought, so why take action? If Reiatsu with the same attribute points can't solve it, you can chop it with a knife or hit it with a fist, and the result will be no different. Levi gains a total of 4,000 attribute points. At first, Levi just added 2,000 points to see if he could adapt to this intensity of Reiatsu. Later I found out that it was no problem at all. Advertisement. But when Reiatsu was released for the first time, it seemed to cause quite a commotion. But Levi didn't think much about it. After all, there was no trace. Who could tell that he did it? Instead of doing nothing, Levi added all the remaining 2,000 attribute points. Then boom. Levi felt like his whole head almost exploded. Because it's too fierce, somewhat uncontrollable. Later there was a second release of Reiatsu, covering the entire Marine headquarters. Levi was confused when he learned about the situation, because he never thought that things would get so big. Then, he was found by Sengoku. Along the way, the beautiful and long-legged Gion candidate admiral kept eyeing him with a look of displeasure and curiosity on his face. She took a good bath, but a terrifying pressure was suppressed directly from the next room. At that point she only had time to send an emergency signal. And when her female bodyguard found her, she was still soaking in the bathroom. If it weren't for her strong strength and outstanding physical fitness. Maybe he drowned directly in the bathroom, but it became an unprecedented joke. But the situation is not good now. Everyone in Marine knows that she was knocked down in the bathroom with Conqueror's Haki. Shame on you, madam, it's so embarrassing, so young. When Levi walked in, even Kizaru Garp looked surprised. Levi is too young, so young that they dare not imagine that kind of intimidating power from the soul, coming from Levi. 4. Can you refuse Marine Admiral, because it's troublesome? Previous chapter next chapter advertisement? Huh? First became a Marine Admiral? Mr. Sengoku, are you confused? Levi blurted out subconsciously. Because Sengoku has never let Levi go home and inherit the inheritance. So Levi doesn't have a good attitude towards Sengoku. Although I don't blame Sengoku, I can't thank him enough. Because Levi, who is familiar with the plot, knows that Luffy went overseas this year and caused a big fuss in Eni's lobby not long ago. Ace was probably captured by Blackbeard as well. The safe Marine headquarters will soon become unsafe. Isn't Marshal Sengoku doing bad things with good intentions? In this terrifying battlefield, I didn't even have a cheat before. Maybe he will follow Lianglang, because Marshal Sengoku will definitely feel that staying with him is the safest. But who can guarantee an accident? Hearing Levi's words, all the Marines present in Gion were stunned for a moment. This guy is too fierce. He actually asked Marshal Sengoku directly in front of him if he was old and confused. Although there are many among them who have had this idea before. But that was the Marshal of the Marine headquarters with a higher military rank than Admiral. Except for Garp, none of them would dare to speak to Sengoku like this even if they had the guts to do so. Advertisement, ha ha ha. That's good, but while everyone was silent, Garp laughed heartily and inappropriately. Because he saw that Sengoku was not angry but looked helpless. Could this kid be Sengoku's illegitimate son? Why does it feel like this guy Sengoku is quite indulgent to him? But even if he is an illegitimate son and has no strength, Sengoku will never let him take on the important role of Admiral. Am I an old fool? Don't you have any idea? I just said that old guy is very shrewd. How could he have a son who doesn't know how to fight? You kid, you hid it from me. Sengoku was not angry, said. Levi was speechless, hiding the truth from the hammer. He really didn't know how to fight before. But this Marine Admiral, I'm afraid I won't be able to do it. I don't have the ability to command operations. If I want to make money, it's okay. I can't command operations. I'm just a recruit, a passerby, a rookie. I can't be an admiral. Levi quickly stopped. Although he got Reiatsu, Levi didn't want to cause trouble. With such strength, wouldn't it be great for him to fly solo? Even if he doesn't fly solo, keeps a low profile, keeps growing, and waits until he becomes stronger, will he be unstable? There is no need to become admiral and appear in front of the world now. And Levi is not bloated, he is self-aware. Reiatsu is very powerful, and judging from everyone's reactions, it may actually be comparable to Marine Admiral. But as a senior general, he must also know how to command combat capabilities and have professional military qualities. These Levis are only in their infancy and are still far from admiral. Everyone was speechless for a while, especially Gion, who is now an alternate admiral. If nothing else, she will most likely become a Marine Admiral in the next few years. That was the goal she had fought for her whole life. Advertisement. I didn't expect that someone would refuse this position. That is the life pursuit that countless vice admirals here dream of. But now this young man has it at his fingertips as long as he nods, but he doesn't want it. This is too shocking. How can the gap between people be so big? You have such strength. What's wrong with being a Marine Admiral? Not many people in this world can kill you. Sengoku also looked at him with a look of hatred. You must know that in order to make an exception, Levi was promoted to Marine Admiral. He used his emergency privileges, which he rarely used, to get the 5 elders to agree to this request. The price is not small, because Sengoku thought of something. Since Levi had hidden his strength before, it meant that he didn't want them to know. Maybe he doesn't want to get involved in Marine's affairs. Is it because of what happened to his parents? Once exposed, he might not miss the old relationship and choose to leave Marine headquarters directly. But with such combat power, Sengoku never wants to miss it, even if he feels sorry for his comrades. But in this sea, more righteous power is needed. If Levi is just mediocre, he can naturally protect him. Let him learn some skills and retire with honor. But if you have this kind of ability, if you can't put it to use, then what if you become a pirate and become an enemy one day? Marshal Sengoku will never forgive himself. Advertisement. No matter how smart Sengoku was, he couldn't think of it. The previous Levi was a real rookie. There aren't many people, so it's still possible. How about I stay here for a while longer? Levi asked in a negotiating tone. Sengoku is pretty good. Seeing how passionate he is, it's hard to say no. Don't worry about commanding ability or anything like that. Admiral is actually a mascot. He doesn't need to take action at ordinary times and is very free. You know Aokiji, right? He doesn't just ride a shabby bicycle and travel around every day. Look at what he does. Did you? In order to trick Levi into agreeing, Sengoku did not hesitate to use the objects of criticism before to praise him. Ah, Aokiji, who was riding a bicycle on the sea, suddenly sneezed. Ah la la la. I'm an ice girl. Logically speaking, I shouldn't catch a cold. Is there any beautiful girl missing me? Aokiji said to himself carelessly. He is not a serious admiral. When he met Straw Hat several times, he teased Nami many times. It seems to make sense. Levi thought it made sense. It's nice to enjoy the shade under the big tree. Now that I have the strength, my thoughts cannot remain unchanged. Even if a war comes, it should be easy to fish in troubled waters and survive with my own strength. And haven't you always wanted to go back and inherit the inheritance? After becoming an admiral, you will have a lot of vacations. You can ask for leave tomorrow and go back. Look, how free you are. And the salary and benefits will be hundreds of times that of the recruit, single family accommodation, and most good food, everything you need. Sengoku continued to seduce Levi. Garp can't stand it any longer. Damn, this guy Sengoku has never been so humble to himself. I haven't coaxed myself like this, I'm really unhappy. Kizaru pretended to drink tea and pretended not to see the humble Sengoku. Why is he like coaxing a child? But is this young man really that strong? I can't seem to see it at all. A faint golden light flashed across Kizaru's eyes, as if he had made some decision. 5. Black Crow Admiral was born. We have an opinion. Please vote for flower evaluation on the first day. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Boy, it's good to have skills, but it's not a good habit to be arrogant based on your talents. If you're not interested in General Marine, why did you join the army in the first place? The Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral couldn't see Marshal Sengoku being so humble. Marshal Sengoku is his idol, and he feels that his observation Haki is outstanding. But nothing can be seen from Levi. This inevitably made him hesitate. Did the exaggerated conqueror's Haki just come from him? If you didn't know that Marshal Sengoku was meticulous in his work and never showed favoritism in major matters. Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral even suspected that Sengoku was opening a back door for Levi. It was Sengoku who captured me to serve as a soldier. I would be very grateful if you could let me leave, Levi said, sadly, when he saw the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral advance his duties. All Marine executives suddenly didn't know how to answer the question. This kid couldn't have done it on purpose, right? Did you really not volunteer to be a Marine? Ahem, Flying Squirrel, if you have any questions, ask them later. The most important thing now is that the Admiral rank has been reduced. If you don't agree, hey, how should I explain it to the 5 elders? You know, in order to get someone to directly join the Marine headquarters training camp, I have been doing a lot of hard work these days. Hey, Levi's brother Huang Quan has knowledge, I don't know what he will think. Sengoku gave a look, just shut up the Flying Squirrel. You will succeed soon. Why did you come out to cause trouble? Originally, this boy Levi had almost forgotten how he came to the headquarters. You also reminded him of it. He looked at Marshal Sengoku with an angry glare. Even if the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral had many questions, he couldn't help but shrink his neck at this moment. Advertisement. Then Sengoku immediately changed his strategy and started playing the emotional card and selling miserably. Although Levi knew that Sengoku was acting, but there is no way to ignore it. The so-called brother Levi is naturally Levi's cheap daddy. After weighing it again and again, Levi was not sure how many points. He asked again and again. Can you really take time off at will? Do you really want a salary increase? Because Levi remembered that there were several important islands under the rule of Marine headquarters. For example, G5 Base, Holy Land, Impel Down. Your own attribute points can only be obtained by signing in to the venue. If you join Marine, it will be easier for you to go to these places. He will not be treated as an enemy, nor will he be hunted down. Wait until your attributes in Reiatsu are upgraded to advanced levels. You are the only one who is truly qualified to do whatever you want. Reiatsu is only intermediate now. Yes, nothing wrong. It can instantly cover the entire Marine headquarters. Reiatsu, who defeated almost everyone, is only intermediate now. Levi can clearly see his attributes and the abilities that come with Reiatsu's awakening in his mind. Host, Levi. Reiatsu, 4,000 points, intermediate level, exceeding 10,000 points is advanced, exceeding 100,000 points is ultimate. Haki, 0 swordsmanship, 0 advertisement physical skills, 0. Ability, 0 attribute points. 0. The intermediate level is comparable to, or even better than, the Admiral. If it is a high level 1, wouldn't his individual combat power be invincible in the world? If you go to the next level, wouldn't it mean that Ancient Weapon, 4 Emperors, and 3 Admirals are added together and immune to death himself? It might even be possible to break through the world barrier. Because Aizen is huge and evolves infinitely when Reiatsu is released. He once said frankly that he had exceeded the limits of this world. In the end, his defeat even had his own will, otherwise it might not be sealed. And after clicking on Reiatsu, some of the accompanying Reiatsu application methods and skills will be displayed. Reiatsu talents. Soul deterrence, intermediate, perception, intermediate, soul real injury, intermediate. What the soul released just now is soul deterrence. Reiatsu perception is actually similar to observation Haki. But more nuanced, soul true damage, the main killing skill, is also based on Reiatsu, based on a single thought. There is no need to have the skills to participate in the battle personally. Hearing Levi heaving a sigh of relief, Marshal Sengoku nodded hastily. Of course, I will be an admiral today and I will give you a day off tomorrow. This. The Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral was about to say, this is not good, but Sengoku glared back. The meaning is obvious. If you, a pig teammate like you, continue to interrupt randomly, sooner or later you will be exiled to a desolate land. Advertisement. So the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral held back this time. Okay, let's be the admiral for the time being. But Mr. Sengoku, don't send me to be cannon fodder. You promised my father before the grave that you would not let our family die. Levi reminded me emphatically. Although he seems to have the ability to protect himself. But the emotional card still has to be played, although Levi has never gotten along with that cheap dad. But judging from what Sengoku came to pick him up, worshipped at the grave and promised. His cheap father is Sengoku's bodyguard and direct subordinate. He is also one of the few vice admirals who can survive until retirement. Judging from his performance at the time, although Sengoku was concerned about the overall situation, he was also an emotional person. It is precisely because of this that he and Garp can become brothers. I promise you. When Sengoku heard Levi say this, he couldn't help but think of Levi's father. His face became solemn, and he nodded solemnly. Both from a personal perspective and from an overall perspective. There's no way he would treat Levi as cannon fodder. From today on, you are the 4th Admiral of the Marine Headquarters. 3 days later, I will hold a conferment ceremony for you in Oak Square. The number of pirates has increased over the years, and morale needs to be improved. I have an opinion. Levi agreed, but Sengoku finished speaking. Gion and Ghost Spider Vice Admiral suddenly said in unison. The Ghost Spider Vice Admiral stood up, with thick long hair on his back, twisting like a living creature. But no one present felt surprised, including Levi, but at the moment he was thinking about his own title, and finally thought that Black Crow would be good. 6. Close Range Reiatsu Release. Completely crushed. Update 6, please vote for flower evaluation. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Needless to say, Gion was knocked unconscious in the bathroom for no reason. And she is the alternate admiral. The admiral should have been hers. No matter if Levi is really that powerful, she has to test her, otherwise how will others see her? Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider, also has some grudges in his heart. He is also one of the best in Marine and will compete in the Summit War in the future. It can even make Marco, the captain of Whitebeard's first team, suffer. Just put seastone handcuffs on him. You must know that Marco kicked the 2 admirals Kizaru and Aokiji back and forth. Its combat power is not much worse than Admiral. It is conceivable that the combat power of Ghost Spider is not comparable to that of ordinary Vice Admiral. He is also expected to become a strong member of Marine Admiral in the future at Marine Headquarters. Even if you can't reach it, it will be a good achievement to have a substitute admiral in the future and raise it by half a level. But Levi came out of nowhere and was directly promoted to the 4th Marine Admiral. It is too difficult for their military ranks to fluctuate in a short period of time. Even if you know that Marshal Sengoku will not choose the wrong person. But if they were left silent, they would not be willing to lose. No matter what, you have to take action and give it an honest try, even if you lose. They have no complaints anymore. This is an explanation for their hard work. You want to try my level? Levi waved his hand to stop what Sengoku was going to say next. Now that I have taken over this position, I naturally have to deal with some troubles myself. Levi still has this awareness. Advertisement: if you can't handle even this little trouble well, it's better not to take advantage of this convenience and leave the Marine Headquarters as soon as possible. That's right, but it's not revenge because you knocked me out in the bathroom. I just want to try to see how strong you are and whether you can make me lose consciousness if I am on guard. I have been waiting for this Marine Admiral position for 10 years. Do you know what this means? Does it mean you are older? This bastard? Forget it. Looking at him like that, he really blurted it out. Nothing malicious. Gion took a deep breath and adjusted his mentality. Adjust your mental state to the best. Try to clear yourself of unnecessary distractions. Especially when he was carried out of the bathroom. Her hand gradually grasped the knife, and the sharp breath gradually released. She is a great swordsman. As a daughter, her current achievements are enough to disdain more than 90% of the powerful people in the world. And what she meant was obvious. Regardless of whether Levi agrees or not, she will take action. Levi's Reiatsu can clearly sense Gion's current state. She actually really concentrated her energy. Stop thinking about any nonsense. The power of the sword was concentrated, and only the burning fighting spirit remained in his eyes. As she said, in this battle, she was not trying to make things difficult or sell a score with Levi because of the previous incident. She just wanted to give an explanation for her life and pursuit. This kind of consideration makes Ghost Spider feel ashamed. Advertisement: he actually still had the idea of testing Levi's strength. Because Levi is obviously from the Sengoku school. And he, Ghost Spider, is from Akainu's group. Marine Headquarters, there are actually 3 factions in total. One is the Doves of Garp Aokiji, and the other is the Hawks of Akainu. After that came the conciliatory neutral faction of Sengoku and Kizaru. Akainu's faction is radical and not very popular among Marines, but they are extremely loyal. Most of them are Marine generals who have been persecuted by pirates. Now an extra Marine admiral appears out of thin air. They need to test out and ultimately determine what impact he will have on Marine as a whole. After understanding it, see if you can get closer. For this reason, even if there is a possibility of being beaten up, he will not hesitate. Are you two coming together, or one by one? Levi's expression remained unchanged, and he looked at the two of them with a calm smile. I'll do it myself, Gion said coldly before Ghost Spider could speak. She disdains joining forces with others. She felt that on the premise that she had taken precautions. No one in the world can defeat themselves solely relying on Conqueror's Haki. So what if that's the qualification that only one person in a million has? Is it not more difficult than being 1 in a million to reach this point? There is no way out for her. Why don't we go outside? Marshal Sengoku suggested as he looked at Gion, who was constantly increasing his sword power. He was afraid that the conference room would be blown up. Levi is very strong, but Gion is not weak either. Especially his swordsmanship, penultimate is extraordinary. Advertisement: if there is really a precautionary situation, it might be difficult for Levi to capture her. But before Sengoku could finish his words, Gion drew his sword and struck him with one move. Whoosh! The figure disappeared instantly, and a stunning sword light cut through the void and swept toward Levi. The stunning sword light made all the strong men present pay close attention. Even Kizaru, Garp and others are no exception. Any strong person who can become a candidate admiral is a top-notch strong person. Even if it's a little far away from admiral, it won't be too far away. Not dodging. No action. Garp observed carefully. Only vice admiral and above generals present could see Gion's attack trajectory. The rear admiral level experts were all confused and completely invisible. But they saw Gion moving, but Levi didn't move. What is this brat doing? Why isn't he moving? Are you careless? Sengoku couldn't help but feel a cold sweat in his heart for Levi. Even if you are powerful, you can't be so conceited. Take action. You might as well show us your attack methods. If he doesn't take action and defend, Sengoku will be unable to resist taking action. But in the end, Sengoku chose to believe Levi. So slow. Levi still didn't move, his eyelids just raised slightly. With a bang, an invisible force that seemed to exude a light blue that was so light that it could not be seen, Reiatsu burst out. The souls of everyone present were hit hard again. The closest ghost spider, Vice Admiral, was already covered in pitch-black armament Haki. With a pop, he knelt down on his knees in an extremely inelegant manner, unable to move. At this moment, everyone understands, Vice Admiral, the ghost spider, is completely unqualified to challenge Levi. This is an absolute crushing. 7. Gion's strange desire. Admiral's approval. Update 7. New books require flower evaluation votes. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. No, it's impossible. His Conqueror's Haki was obviously not released towards me. Why is it so heavy? My armament Haki can't bear it at all. How is this possible? This air has become so heavy. Vice Admiral felt as if wisps of air currents were being given a heavy weight by someone. It made it difficult for him to walk. As he spoke, his body became more and more bent, and finally he could only support the ground with his hands. His face was full of horror, and cold sweat was dripping from his forehead to the floor. The sound of sweat dripping was particularly loud at this moment. It was a little hard for him to accept, and he was not mentally prepared before. Back at the Marine headquarters, even these cautious generals. I can't help but feel relaxed. After all, there are very few strong men who will attack the Marine headquarters. Marine headquarters is a safe haven. Levi suddenly released Reiatsu before, which can be called a sneak attack. But not anymore. The ghost spider feels even scarier. The expressions of others were also full of horror. What kind of little monster is this? What makes this close-range Conqueror's Haki release so terrifying? Why do I feel that it is different from Conqueror's Haki? It has stronger penetrating power and is more domineering, as if my soul is trembling. What a veritable little monster. He is so strong at such a young age, and he will get it again in the future. Garp was the only one who could speak freely. Of people. Tisk. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and Gion's sword was close to Levi's neck. But 10 centimeters away from Levi, Reiatsu condensed into a physical barrier. The sharp sword swept over it, constantly shooting out sparks and surging energy shockwaves. The entire conference room shook suddenly, and the walls cracked. This is a specially built conference room, as strong as gold and iron, very closed and extremely confidential. Of course, the cost is also high. Advertisement, but at this moment, he couldn't help but burst open. It is enough to show that Gion's attack is extremely powerful. How could it be? You didn't take action, but you blocked my strongest blow. Gion was a little unbelievable. Conqueror's substantial damage, as expected. Conqueror's Haki has been developed to ultimate. Sengoku looked shocked and surprised. Although there were speculations earlier, feeling it up close was even more shocking. Gion's figure sank suddenly, and a terrifying pressure suppressed him. No, Gion was unwilling to give in. How could he fall down without even touching anyone? And he was directly crushed down. It's so frustrating. No way. She gritted her teeth, unwilling to be overwhelmed by this mountain of Reiatsu. She can't be so weak. Crack. The bones of her forearm were forced to fracture. But she still refused to give up. At this moment, she even had a sense of desire and delusion. As if I just need to hold on under this pressure for a few more seconds. The sword power she has been honing can reach directly into the soul, thus achieving some kind of transformation. It is even possible to enter the realm she has always longed for, the realm of the world's great swordsman. Quick, let the storm come more violently. Gion saw Levi's power. The fighting spirit is even stronger, looking at Levi's eyes, full of desire. Levi was slightly moved, even a little admired. Sure enough, it is not easy for anyone who can become an admiral. Even if he is a candidate, his willpower is absolutely extraordinary. In this case, don't let her kneel down like the ghost spider. Advertisement, that's too embarrassing. Basic respect must be given to the strong. So Levi pretended to stick out a finger, lest others think that you have nothing to offer. Then the light blue and heavy Reiatsu pushed out horizontally. Sweep Gion away directly. With a loud bang, Gion's figure crashed through the copper and iron walls, flew straight out, and then crashed into several buildings before stopping. For a moment, everyone was speechless. Looking at Levi is no different than looking at a monster. Especially those rear admiral vice admirals. Without even moving, he used Conqueror's Haki to easily block Gion's attack. Then he gently raised his hand, and Gion was blown away from half of the Marine headquarters. It's so fierce, I don't know how to show mercy to women. They're not enemies, they're just comparing notes. He should still be single. It seems like it's a little bit too hard. You still have to practice more. Levi has just mastered Reiatsu and is not yet fully proficient. I accidentally overexerted myself, but to other people, it doesn't mean that much. It sounds like Levi meant to be merciful when he said this, or maybe you haven't tried your best yet. And it's too modest to have to practice. Damn it, where did Marshal Sengoku pick up this little monster? No wonder I had the confidence to say before that I didn't want to become a Marine Admiral. With this kind of strength, you can get away with it anywhere. Sengoku nodded with satisfaction. Advertisement Garp's little eyes couldn't help but glance at Sengoku. Hopefully Sengoku can give him some information. But at this moment Kizaru suddenly put down the cup in his hand. He said slowly and leisurely, "My hands are a little itchy too, Brother Levi, if you don't mind if I try it." As soon as Kizaru spoke, he immediately attracted everyone's attention. "Admiral, take action, still the undisciplined Perusalino Admiral." Kizaru. Sengoku frowned slightly, but didn't say much. Please. Levi also had this intention, he wanted to try to see how strong Admiral was. No life is in danger here anyway. Then you're welcome. Tien Kong Yun's sword. Kizaru's mouth curved slightly, and his reflective golden sunglasses flashed with golden light. A golden sword was pulled out from both hands. Without any unnecessary movements, he raised it high and slashed straight down from the sky with great force. There is a kind of sword charm that is as complex as simple. Boom. Reiatsu burst out suddenly, and Levi's thoughts moved. Using it really hurts the soul. Reiatsu suddenly became violent. If the previous Reiatsu was a towering peak, the current Reiatsu is a thunderstorm. Extremely fast, powerful and full of destructive power. Kizaru Yi Kongyun's sword struck it, making a loud bang and a terrifying shockwave. With this explosion, the entire conference room was instantly blasted by a shockwave. It has become an open-air meeting room. Kizaru was shocked and took a step back. He lowered his head and looked at his feet in surprise, then smiled with relief. You are the 4th Admiral. 8. Take the initiative to ask for help and announce it to the world. Update 8, please vote for flower evaluation. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. Kizaru's words are very important. Especially at times like this. The Admiral's recognition means that the top management of Marine has affirmed Levi's strength. Only those with the highest combat power are recognized. Levi can truly exercise Admiral power, rather than just a name. Don't continue. No, that's enough. Levi was a little disappointed and was thinking about whether to take the initiative on his own. But after thinking about it, I gave up. Since Kizaru only gave a test blow, it shows that he is not very interested in fighting. Levi's Reiatsu is slightly withdrawn. Ghost Spider stood up from the ground in relief. But without mentioning the competition again, Gion was pointed out and flew out. Still haven't come back yet. Kizaru Admiral drew out the Amankongyun sword and slashed with such force that even the conference room collapsed. But Levi still didn't move an inch, but Kizaru was knocked back just now. He is a Vice Admiral, no matter how powerful he is only close to Gion's level. It's still far from Kizaru's level. Even Kizaru recognized this 4th Admiral. What qualifications does he have to say no? A person who cannot even stand firmly in front of the 4th Admiral is not qualified to make unnecessary demands and words. Advertisement Vice Admiral still has this awareness. However, it seems that Sakazuki Admiral needs to be told as soon as possible. Since everyone has no objections, then this matter has been finalized. Now, a notice will be issued immediately to inform the people of the world and the generals at the Marine headquarters. Except for the Rear Admiral Vice Admiral who is performing the mission, other generals in the nearby waters must participate in the 3 days later, the 4th Admiral investiture ceremony. Understood. Everyone agreed in unison, and there was an additional admiral at the Marine headquarters. This is a big enough event to shock the world. The investiture ceremony must be grand and solemn enough. I have some ugly things to say up front. Although Levi is a new admiral and has no impressive achievements yet, you must try your best to cooperate with the admiral's arrangements. Sengoku-san, are you implying that I want to make meritorious deeds? This is not good. I have just taken office. At least I can take a breather, Levi said speechlessly. Sengoku is even more speechless. There are some things you have seen through, so don't tell them, you bastard. After all, Sengoku wouldn't be able to do that. This kid doesn't give himself any steps to climb. How could that be? Admiral is very leisurely. Sengoku finished speaking. A whooshing figure rose from the ground and landed beside everyone. It was Gion who looked slightly embarrassed. Come again, I want it again. Everyone was suddenly confused. Gion Vice Admiral's words puzzled them. In their impression, Gion Vice Admiral does not seem like a sore loser. No, I didn't mean that, I meant. Gion was speechless for a moment. I can't say I like the high pressure of Conqueror's Haki. That way people's eyes would probably be even weirder. Levi also looked at Gion with some confusion. But at this time, Vice Admiral Garp asked a very sensitive question. Boy, how do you practice Haki? This piqued everyone's curiosity. They also want to know how Levi, at such a young age, managed to develop such a terrifying Conqueror's Haki. Advertisement, well. I didn't practice much, and it turned out like this before I knew it. It's hard for Levi to explain. And won't tell anyone. When many generals heard this, they felt even more disgusted. Look, is this kid speaking human language? You can become so powerful just by practicing casually. How many years have they worked hard? It can't even be compared to someone who just practices casually. A natural conquerors? It's amazing, Garp exclaimed with emotion. But after all, Garp, Sengoku and others are well informed. I know that in this world, there are some people with extraordinary talents who have shown terrifying combat power very early. For example, Big Mom, Rox, Red Earl, and even Bullet achieved the achievement of destroying the country in their teens. If they have talent, they can't learn it even if they want to. Marshal Sengoku, Levi Admiral has just become a senior general, he should need an experienced adjutant, right? Gion suddenly asked. She also wanted to feel the pressure from Levi again. Although it was uncomfortable, she had touched the threshold of a breakthrough before. It's not a good atmosphere to bring up this matter now. And she herself wasn't entirely sure, but if she followed him. Maybe you can find an opportunity for your own breakthrough. This bitch isn't looking for a chance to retaliate against me, is she? No, probably not. Levi held his chin in thought, and then remembered her above-boardness and tenacity in fighting. Levi doesn't think she is a narrow-minded person. It is indeed necessary. Sengoku nodded. I took the initiative to apply to be Levi Admiral's adjutant. You are an alternate admiral, there is no need to do this. I still hope Marshal Sengoku can agree. After such a fleeting opportunity, Gion would never give up. Advertisement as long as she breaks through, she will no longer be weaker than the Admiral warriors. Not to mention being promoted to a new admiral under special circumstances, but if someone is promoted. She is definitely the #1 target. Strength is important anytime and anywhere. She is not a flower vase, but a strong person who pursues strength. Levi, what do you think? It's okay. Anyway, if she doesn't come, someone else will come, so let her do it, Levi said nonchalantly. Okay, you guys can get along for a while and see. If it's not suitable, I'll make other arrangements. Now you can go back and inherit the inheritance. Ahem, don't worry. Levi still wanted to give him this face. Sengoku-san is so straightforward, maybe there is something wrong with him. Soon everyone dispersed, and Gion took Levi to his new residence. At the same time, he explained to Levi a lot of things that senior officers need to pay attention to. Levi dozed off after hearing this. Hey, you will be an admiral from now on, you should understand these things at least. I think it would be better to find an adjutant to help me take care of these things. I don't want to live too tiredly. This guy. Gion said speechlessly. At the same time, Marine Headquarters also announced a big news to the world. Marine Headquarters promoted Admiral to 4th place, codenamed Black Crow. The news instantly seemed to have wings and flew all over the world. New World, Moby Dick. The 4th Marine Admiral. Levi, Black Crow. Why have I never heard of such a #1 person before? Oh, he was promoted from recruit, which is very rare. That guy Sengoku. Should be I'm not too old to be confused. Whitebeard held the newspaper in his hand and thought slightly. Recently, the uneasy feeling in his heart has become more and more obvious. This feeling had been there since the day of Blackbeard's rebellion. 9. 4 emperors shocked, the youngest admiral in history, Akainu was dissatisfied, 9th update on the first day. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, the Marine Headquarters has added a Marine Admiral. This guy looks very young. Have any of you heard of his amazing achievements? Marco, who had a pineapple head, held the newspaper and asked everyone with a smile. I've never heard of such a #1 person, but he must have some extraordinary ability. Those Marine guys are not stupid. They don't have any ability. It's impossible to be promoted to Admiral. It's an additional Admiral quota. I have the latest information. I heard that this guy is good at Conqueror's Haki. A Haki that knocked out the entire Marine Headquarters? Foil Beasta said in horror, holding up the information in his hand. Hey, are you kidding? The Marine Headquarters is not a place where third-rate pirates gather. Even the red-haired guy can't stun all Marines with one Conqueror's Haki. Is this source reliable? Marco heard. Yan also looked at Foil Beasta with a shocked expression. Generally speaking, there is nothing wrong with the information. It was passed on by someone undercover in the Marine. However, we cannot guarantee whether it was exaggerated or not. But one thing is certain. This new admiral should have an extremely outstanding Conqueror's Haki. So what? Compared with Dad's, it's definitely far behind. That's true. Except for the red-haired guy, I've never seen anyone who can compete with Dad on Haki. The members of the Whitebeard Pirates are very confident in Whitebeard's strength. Because their father is the strongest man in the world. Better pay attention. That guy Sengoku is very smart. I'm afraid this kid is really not simple. The Marine Headquarters has always been the 3rd Admiral. If he can make that guy Sengoku break the rules, there must be something amazing, Whitebeard warned. I know Dad, I will focus on collecting information about this person in the future, Marco nodded. They have a large territory in New World, and Marines' movements must be monitored at all times. Otherwise, you won't know when you will be targeted. Advertisement, how can that work? Wanokuni, 4th Admiral, what the hell is Marine doing? Kaido held the wine bottle and drank heavily. Looking at the young figure in the information, I couldn't help but cover my head and cry and laugh, my head hurts. The 4th Admiral of Marine Headquarters, this is not a good thing for us. It is rumored that he has Conqueror's Haki as good as the red-haired guy. He knocked down the entire Marine in Marine headquarters with one blow. Only Admiral and Garp were left unconscious. Fatty Quinn stood aside and reported. Admiral. Marine's strength is getting stronger and stronger. We need to collect as much information about this guy as possible. Our plan has to be accelerated. We can't slack off. Our strength must be improved again. I want to ask the clown if they can improve the artificial devil fruit output. Yes, Ma. What is Sengoku planning to promote the 4th Admiral at this time? Aren't you afraid of breaking the balance of the 3 major forces? Becoming an admiral at a young age is very tricky, the ant swallowed sweetly. While talking, he didn't really care. She wasn't too interested in the position of the Pirate King. What she desires is to create a country where all races can live together. So if Marine doesn't mess with her, she won't bother Marine either. If someone really has this kind of Haki, maybe he's the one I've been looking for. Red-haired Shanks also received such information. Advertisement. This should be the youngest Marine Admiral in history in the past 100 years. I'm afraid, this era is going to be a storm. Beckman smoked. Looking at the smoke, it seems that I can see into the future. This is an amazing achievement. If I have the chance, I'd like to see it. Red-haired Shanks looked forward to it. At the same time, other forces also learned the news. Such as the supernova that has arrived in the Sabaody archipelago. The 7 warlords of the sea and the giants of the underground world are entrenched in their respective territories. They all came to the same conclusion in the end. This should be the youngest Marine Admiral in this era. And it is directly promoted from recruit to Admiral. Legendary. Such an achievement is amazing, but some people don't quite believe that Levi has Admiral powers. There are all kinds of people. La. I just left the headquarters not long ago, and something like this happened. Aokiji was stunned when he looked at the news in his hand. How long had he been gone? Why is there an extra Marine Admiral? And he doesn't know him yet, this is too strange. Advertisement, 4th Admiral. Are you kidding? Akainu looked extremely ugly, and the information in his hand was melted into slag. How much time and effort it took him to become the Marine Admiral. As a result, he is now a little-known boy who can even be said to be a young boy. Became the Marine Admiral when he left. Could it be a gilded aristocrat thrust over by some high-ranking world government official? If this is the case, what do they think of the Marine headquarters? If not, but if you are really capable, then you have to pass your own test first. What does Marine represent on the sea? Does this 4th Admiral know? Are you aware of it? Can you accept true justice? No matter what, wait until you get back to the headquarters. Be sure to get to know this 4th Admiral well. If you want to sit and stand with them, you have to see if you really have the qualifications. And 2 days after this incident fermented, something big happened to the Sabaody archipelago. The celestial dragons were attacked, and the main culprits were the Straw Hat Pirates. 10. Are you sure this is giving me credit? The 10th update on the first day, please vote for flower evaluation. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement Marine headquarters, Levi was lying on the recruiting training observation deck and sleeping. Umbrellas, coffee, newspapers, snacks. The 4-piece casual set is very complete. Guion was holding information in his hand and kept dictating the changes among the various forces in the sea. She has now looked away from what the Black Crow Admiral is. In a sense, it is really calm. So far I haven't accepted any tasks. I would rather watch recruit training, go shopping, and bask in the sun here every day. I am also unwilling to learn more about the structure of the mission and how to accumulate combat merit. Although the awarding ceremony will be held tomorrow, it is not advisable to travel too far. But at least I understand it more or less, but he didn't. Damn it, this lazy, stinky crow. Guion felt dissatisfied. Now each admiral is lazier than the last. There was Kizaru in the front, Aokiji in the middle, and now there's a crow. Why not call it Blue Cat? What's the name Crow? It's such a good name for nothing, huh? However, as an adjutant, Guion could only remind him that he could not really force Levi to do anything. Advertisement after all, I can't beat him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. It seems that Perusolino's charged attack is about to appear. 1 kick and a supernova. The actual record is 000. Wonderful. Levi also heard Marine urgent report in. But I didn't pay too much attention to it. I can wait until tomorrow after the conferring ceremony to do anything else. To avoid having to go out and have to rush back halfway. But after a while, Lieutenant Sengoku came to Levi and said that Sengoku had something to do with him. You don't want me to do this work, don't you think Kizaru should do it? Levi couldn't help but think. Because the timing was so coincidental, how could I resist thinking too much about it? Since we have taken action against the celestial dragons, there is nothing we can do. I will go there myself. Don't worry, I will be back soon. Kizaru still said slowly. No, wait, brat, why don't you come in now? Sengoku didn't agree immediately. It's coming, it's a pity, I didn't hear any important secrets. Levi looked a little regretful. Behind him, Guion's head is full of black lines, this guy. Soon Levi's guess came true. You want me to deal with the Sabaody archipelago? Yes, this shouldn't be difficult for you. It can be considered as a way to adapt to Marine's mission life in advance, and it can also add credit to your blank resume. Sengoku nodded. From this aspect, Sengoku is quite concerned about Levi. With Levi's admiral level strength, it's almost easy to capture a group of newcomers. This is a scoring question. Can you not go? Besides, the main culprit is Garp's grandson. I don't care, but aren't you afraid that Garp will settle the score with you? Levi was confused. Advertisement in the past, he speculated that Kizaru's betrayal might be related to Sengoku. I'm afraid that's not possible now. HMPH, what are you afraid of? Their whole family is full of criminals, why can't they be caught? But don't kill them if they're caught. Let's see if Garp can give him a good education so that the Straw Hat Boy can change his ways. After all, we Marine also need the strength of young people. Sengoku said fiercely, but still warned. If you kill him, that's really hard to do. Moreover, the Marine headquarters policy generally adopts a capture strategy for those with abilities. This is not made by them, but by world government. They're just executors. Can you not go? I feel like this is not an easy job. Of course it's not easy. The Straw Hats are now favored by Pluton Rayleigh. And among them there is a traitor like Tyrant Bear. No matter how you look at it, Saboti Archipelago is not a scoring question. Does Sengoku really want to reward himself with military achievements? No, I have to go. As a Marine Admiral, I have no military exploits at all. Are you sorry? Although these are all new pirates, they have great potential and are a threat in the future. Moreover, it concerns the Celestial Dragons. The military exploits are not worth it, Sengoku said solemnly. I mean it politely, but forget it, since you said so, let's go there. After Levi thought about it, he didn't refuse. He still knows Sengoku's painstaking efforts. He is not very willing to disappoint Sengoku. After all, this move is really for his own good. Originally, Levi planned to go to Saboti Archipelago to sign in after the investiture ceremony. It's just ahead of schedule now. Advertisement and the supernovas have contributed a lot. Sengoku-san, you said that after I capture these people, will the Celestial Dragons invite me to the Holy Land as a guest to thank me? Levi's lazy eyes suddenly flashed a touch of greed. If so, then none of these people can be spared, including Straw Hat. Who let himself be Marine? If you are invited to the Holy Land and sign in to the Holy Land, you will definitely get a lot of attribute points. Strength is the foundation for standing in the world. It's hard to say, maybe. Why do you ask? Sengoku asked in confusion. Nothing, Adjutant Gion, let's go. This might be able to sign into 2 places at once, so Levi planned to make this trip. There won't be any problems, Sengoku-san. Kizaru asked thoughtfully, looking at the background where Levi was leaving. Probably not, he should be measured in his actions. Sengoku was also a little uneasy. He wasn't going to kill all the supernovas, was he? Then Garp won't be able to fight for himself. What a troublesome family. Why are you so proactive this time? Gion couldn't help but wonder when he saw Levi accepting the task so simply. This crow is usually drowsy, as if it is about to fall asleep all the time. I would never stand if I could sit down, but this time I agreed so simply. Gion Vice Admiral, we are Marines, righteous Marines, catching pirates, isn't it a matter of course? You are not ideologically aware enough. Levi said seriously and seriously. Then step onto the warship, Gion. I always feel like I can accept being lectured by anyone, but I can't be lectured by him. 11. Log into Saboti Archipelago and add 1500 Reiatsu points, 11th update on the first day. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. The entire Saboti Archipelago is filled with chaos and turmoil. Although Celestial Dragons has been rescued from the auction block. But the 3 supernova captains Straw Hat, Kid, and Lou also led their men to break through the encirclement. The Celestial Dragons were furious. All the Marines in the Saboti Archipelago took action to hunt them down. You useless trash, you are all trash. Where is the Marine Admiral? Why hasn't the Marine Admiral come yet? Shalulia Palace sprayed at Marine Commodore. Commodore could only lower his head and respond. The headquarters warship is already on the way. Who is coming? Shalulia Palace was extremely angry. As a Celestial Dragons, I was treated like this today. Her brother was beaten like this. Absolutely unforgivable. Yes. Commodore didn't dare to say anything, because here comes the new Admiral. Instead of the old Admiral, he was afraid that Shalulia Palace would think the Marine was not interested in this matter. Take off such a big hat. Even Sengoku may not be able to resist. It's the Crow Admiral. That newly promoted Admiral. What do you mean by Marine? Believe it or not, I will file a complaint with the 5 elders. Shalulia Palace naturally thought about this. Advertisement. The Black Crow Admiral is actually very powerful. Commodore actually didn't know that. But at this time, that's all I can say. Saboti Archipelago, heard that Marine Headquarters Admiral is coming soon. Countless pirates fled for their lives away from this place. Even businessmen and bounty hunters are unwilling to stay long. The place where Marine's highest combat power appears is destined to be unable to calm down. There are many people who are going to be unlucky. After all, most of the pirates gathered here are rookie pirates. Damn Straw Hat Boys. When I meet them in the new world in the future, I must kill them all. Jewelry Bonnie, a woman with a big stomach, roughly bit the piece of meat in her hand. He said with a look of displeasure on his face that he was actually going to fight Celestial Dragons at this time. The entire pirate group, all of them are crazy, so is the green algae head with 3 knives. Do they know what Marine Admiral means? I don't know who will come this time. If it were that guy Akainu, he would definitely not let him go so easily. Damn it, I don't know what happened to that guy Shang. Admiral, that's really interesting. I really want to see it. Apu smiled, showing his teeth like piano keys. Opsong, don't be joking. That's the Marine Headquarters Admiral. Let's leave quickly, the subordinates around him said helplessly. Maybe the new Admiral will come. If so, you can try his skills. DJ Yin Apu is very brave. Captain, let's go too. Today is not the day of my death, don't worry, Hawkins divined leisurely. HMPH, now is not the time to confront Marine Admiral. Capone Beeg walked towards the coastline. Advertisement, but they don't know that someone arrived on the island earlier than Marine Admiral. And then fought with Straw Hat, Kid Luo, Drake, and Uroge. Okasina. Isn't the old man coming this time? Zan Momomaru, who was barefoot, huge and carrying a big axe, felt strange. There are obviously several admirals, but only the old man is at the Marine headquarters. And Sengoku also asked their laboratory, which is close to Sabaody, to start first. At the same time, test the human weapons and see how effective the pacifists are. One of these guys is worth a warship. No, it seems that there is a new admiral also at the headquarters. Will he come? Forget it, let's take down the Straw Hats and the others first, Zan Momomaru said confidently. He felt that Admiral came just to show off to the Celestial Dragons. With the pacifists here, it shouldn't be a problem to capture these new pirates. The battle breaks out quickly. Damn it, who is this guy? The Bear's twin? Straw Hat and others encountered the pacifist. If the whole pirate group comes together, they won't be able to deal with a single pacifist in a short period of time. A pacifist who can fly, has a body of steel, and can shoot lasers from his mouth and hands. It has strong lethality and strong resistance to strikes. After enduring several slashes from Zoro and indiscriminate bombardment from Luffy, there were still no fatal injuries. Sabaody Archipelago Sea Area, 3 marine warships approach. Oh, so we have reinforcements? Not bad, but it seems of no use. Levi soon received news from Marine headquarters. Whoosh! Before the warship had completely docked, Guillaume jumped into the air, rolled handsomely in the air, and landed on the shore accurately and gracefully. Good legs. Bastard Crow, didn't he know that in addition to Conqueror's Haki, there is something called Observation Haki? Advertisement Guillaume heard clearly, but forget it, it's just looking at your legs, it's nothing. She looked at Levi, meaning, come here, don't waste time waiting for the boat to dock. Just now, Zan Momomaru from Sabaody Archipelago found the location of Luffy and others. I informed them and went there early so that they wouldn't run away. Levi's face darkened, he couldn't be like Guillaume if he didn't control Reiatsu. But for a cross-bank jump, release Reiatsu. Is this necessary? It seems a bit too exaggerated. Don't worry, none of them can escape. Just treat it as a tourist vacation. Look at the scenery of Sabaody Archipelago. Pung. As soon as Levi finished speaking, a cannonball exploded not far away, with smoke billowing and tearing apart the picturesque floating bubbles. Are you going to get down? Guillaume's face darkened, and he became increasingly rude to Admiral. Who told him to be idle? The ship hasn't docked yet. Guillaume has no choice but to wait. Is this Levi really not nervous at all? After all, this is also your first time on a mission. Serve snacks, serve snacks. Her adjutant was almost heartbroken. After the ship docked, Levi lands in the Sabaody Archipelago. Sign in to Sabaody Archipelago and get 1,500 attribute points as a reward. 12. 11 Supernova, Sharp Pluton Rayleigh, previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. There are actually 1,500 points, not bad. Levi was very satisfied. 4,000 points of Reiatsu gives him the strength to be completely unafraid of the Marine Admiral. Now that there are 1,500 more, the strength of Reiatsu will definitely increase a lot again. Sabaody Archipelago has less rewards than Marine headquarters for signing in. Levi can understand, after all, there have been many famous battles at Marine headquarters. And its unique location, it must be more famous in the whole world than Sabaody Archipelago. Come on, give me the Reiatsu. Levi has truly experienced that he can crush his opponent without fighting. I no longer look down on other abilities, this Reiatsu is so comfortable to use. As a result, Levi's Reiatsu points have been increased to 5,500, which is several times stronger than before. The Reiatsu attribute points have been improved. The host's ability to control Reiatsu has been improved, and the Reiatsu perception has been greatly improved. Soul deterrence, and soul real damage has been improved to a certain extent. The sign-in system quickly reported Levi's own changes to him. Perception has been improved the most. Levi was a little surprised. It seems that after the overall Reiatsu is improved, the improvement of other accompanying skills is not exactly the same. Instead, there will be a focus, Reiatsu perception in Levi's cognition. It has always been easier to use than observation Haki. Advertisement ordinary observation Haki cannot see a person's true appearance clearly. It's like the black and white world or infrared sensing. Only the human form and movement can be seen. This is also the point where Fujitora couldn't see Luffy's face clearly in Dressrosa and regretted it. But Reiatsu's perception is different. In Reiatsu's perception, everything around him was clear and clear, like a holographic radar projection. Not only can you see a person's face, but you can also vaguely detect the essence of his soul. Now that the perception is improved, what will happen? Groups of marine soldiers armed with weapons quickly disembarked from the warship. Gather in front of Levi and wait for his orders. Almost all of Marine's eyes were filled with curiosity. Levi's youth, Levi's previous actions at Marine headquarters. And what will their fourth admiral do next? It's all about what they care about. Everyone acts according to the established arrangements. Seeing Levi in a daze, Guillaume couldn't help but outline a sexy and confident arc at the corner of his mouth. In her opinion, Levi must not know how to command an army in combat. He had admitted this himself before. Fortunately, she had already arranged it when she was on the warship. Advertisement. Seeing this little monster, there were times when I was confused. Guillaume has just found a little sense of existence. Don't bother, I'll give it a try. Levi held his chin in thought. What? Guillaume was puzzled, but he didn't wait for her to continue asking. A tsunami surged into the sky, shocking the world. Reiatsu exploded with a bang. Like a volcano erupting, it radiates instantly, in the blink of an eye. It covers the entire Sabaody archipelago. What's going on? Is it going to rain? Why do I feel hard to breathe and feel heavy in my heart? There is something strange about this dark curtain. Look, there is no such dark curtain outside the island. This time, no one passed out. Levi's control is now high and he can accurately control every part of his Reiatsu. Perception. Activate. Shroud. The tens of thousands of people and buildings on the entire island all clearly appeared in Levi's mind. Watching the lively supernova DJ Yin Apu, Allosaurus-shaped Drake and Monkey Rogue are fighting the pacifists. Law and Kid are blocked by a pacifist. The two captains were arguing, but temporarily joined forces to fight the pacifist. Luo turned his palm downwards, and the white Uzumaki-shaped barrier rotated to a certain number of circles, unfolding a light blue semicircular field. Advertisement. Shroud the pacifist. Kid absorbed countless weapons and condensed them into a pair of metal arms, attacking the pacifists from both sides. The Straw Hat Pirates are close to defeating the pacifist. A group of people swarmed up and kept causing injuries to the pacifists. The big stomach girl turned all the Marines who besieged her into old people and children, and then fled happily. Capone Bead was surrounded by Marine on the coastline, but he calmly teased Marine. You lost because of your superiority in strength. Then many holes were opened in his body, and countless small cannonballs were shot out from those holes. After a certain distance, these cannonballs suddenly became larger, and they all stuck in the faces of the Marines. It was so sudden that the Marines had no way to escape. Then Bead lowered a suspension bridge on his chest, and a whole team of cavalry rushed out. Hawkins was still divining his fate leisurely, when suddenly his arms stiffened and his face was blank. It seems that the divination has yielded an incredible result. In a certain tavern, Pluton Rayleigh, who was drinking quietly, suddenly looked up at the sky. His eyes instantly became extremely sharp. Who's Conqueror's Haki? The coverage is so wide, and it doesn't just pass by instantly. What are you doing? There are no enemies here. Guillaume felt the Reiatsu released by Levi, and suddenly felt pressure and looked horrified at the same time. Because she found that this Reiatsu seemed to be stronger than what she had experienced at the Marine headquarters before. How is this going? Illusion. The enemies are all within striking range. Levi smiled lightly. 13. All members of Supernova are imprisoned. Capture the first Supernova. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. What? Many Marines were stunned for a moment before they landed on the island. Sabaody archipelago is huge. Why do you say it's within striking range? What is this new admiral capable of? As Levi spoke, he spread his hands gracefully and slowly stretched them out, in a moment of complete enlightenment. Levi suddenly accelerated, and with a buzz, an invisible storm blew out instantly. Both hands are straightened at the same time, and endless Reiatsu is released through both hands, sweeping across the entire Sabaody archipelago. Jiga. Throughout the Sabaody archipelago, crows formed by Reiatsu seemed to be chirping and flying over. Then a light blue Reiatsu with black strokes fell from the sky. Transformed into 11 pillars of Reiatsu, falling vertically on the Sabaody archipelago. Everyone on the entire island can clearly see these 11 substantial Reiatsu light beams when they look up. The locations of the 11 rising star pirates with a bounty of over 100 million have been marked. They can't leave, so they can just capture them one by one. Levi looked at the 11 beams of light and said with a smile. But the Marines around him, including Guillaume, were all stunned. Looking at the entire Sabaody archipelago shrouded in darkness. Then he looked at Reiatsu, who was light blue with a hint of black. Listening to Levi's words, they experienced a strong shock. This. Have you found all the supernovae that have exceeded 100 million? This is incredible, even if Kizaru Admiral arrives. Not even any other admiral could have done this. Advertisement. Just set foot on this island. Just found everyone's location. How is this done? Observation Haki. Conqueror's Haki. Conqueror's Haki can still be used like this. Guillaume just found a sense of presence from Levi. It disappeared in an instant and was driven into the ground again. Sabaody archipelago is a huge and diverse island. What level of ability or Haki is required? Only then could we locate those 11 people from the vast crowd at this moment. This is the method of the gods. No. Although they are new pirates, they are definitely not idiots. If you marked their location like this, they must have run away long ago. They can't just stand there and wait for us to pass. This is useless. Guillaume. As expected of the alternate admiral. The fatal flaw of this method suddenly occurred to me. But Levi was not nervous at all. We'll see what happens. Let's start with the nearest one. Levi stepped toward the nearest Reiatsu beam of light. The terrifying Reiatsu is constantly being released all over his body. Light blue and black spread out. A noble god who seems to have wandered out of a myth. Although not for the Marines. But Marine, if you look at Levi, just look a little longer. Everyone began to feel dazed and desperate. Guillaume's breathing was slightly rapid. Advertisement. She found the feeling of being about to break through. It seems like it's looming, and it's coming soon. Why are you staring at me? I know I'm handsome, but you're too naive. Girl, you'd better be more reserved. Levi turned around and startled Guillaume, who was paying full attention. It broke her state of mind again. You narcissistic bastard, you will die if you don't speak. Guillaume was very angry. Damn it, it was obviously only one step away. Now that feeling is gone again. It's the opposite. The world has turned upside down. The adjutant dares to yell at his superiors. Levi didn't agree and just found it strange. Guillaume's temper is a bit big, but even a great swordsman. Women will be in a bad mood for a few days every month. Forget it, don't argue with her. HMPH. If you continue to be so slow, I'll see how you will explain to Marshal Sengoku when all your servants are gone. Guillaume's face looked unnatural for a while. In Marine, they really have a superior-subordinate relationship. And she applied for it herself. It's really not good to not give Levi face in front of so many people. But who asked him to say his own? Guillaume spoke and at the same time commanded the troops to bypass and outflank them from the left and right sides. Move closer to the nearest Reiatsu beam of light. In this way, the pirates only need to escape from both sides. You will encounter the army, and you will encounter them from the front. But if it's from behind, it might be run away, but Levi didn't seem worried at all. Advertisement. She also wanted to see what medicine Levi sold in the gourd. They're getting closer to the Reiatsu beam of light. As this? When seeing the situation at the scene, Marine's eyes were filled with surprise, and he was once again shocked by Levi's methods. The gangster Capone Beeg has a bounty of 130 million Baileys, right? Levi looked at his adjutant uncertainly. Guillaume's forehead shed helpless cold sweat. To be precise, it's 138 million Baileys. Well, it's almost the same. Now I'm officially informing you that you have been arrested, Levi said condescendingly, looking at Capone Beeg lying on the ground. Damn it. What the hell is this? Why is this ray of light so heavy? It feels like my body and soul are being crushed, and I am completely unable to move. Capone Beeg was very unwilling and could not even accept this reality. Along the way, he passed through many passes and encountered many dangers. He got through it all, but now he was defeated inexplicably and completely. A Reiatsu pillar fell from the sky and pinned him to the ground. Earlier, he was trying to keep his body from buckling. But it was clearly a ray of light, but it was extremely terrifying and directly crushed his hand and leg bones. Now the whole person is pressed to the ground like a piece of face, unable to move. Apart from this, there were only a few other subordinates left to guard him. Most of the pirate subordinates realized something was wrong. Just ran away. A weapon without bloodshed. This is the first thing the Marine thinks of. Could it be that all other supernovas were caught like this? The Marines were shocked at the thought of this possibility. Then a strong sense of pride and confidence quickly rose from within. Marine 4th Admiral. Awesome. 14. My adjutant is not serious. Please give me monthly flower evaluation tickets for rewards. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Isn't it impossible? Is this still something a human can do? Mrs. Black Crow Admiral. Is amazing. A major couldn't help but exclaimed. His superior once hunted down the gangster Capone Beeg, but failed and was killed. Black Crow? The new admiral? Beeg raised his head with difficulty, waiting for him to really see this childish face. My mentality almost collapsed. Damn it. What he met turned out to be Marine Admiral. This is really unlucky. I just didn't expect that the new Marine Admiral would be so terrifying. Beeg was surrounded by his remaining loyal men. There was a conflict with Marine, but they were quickly captured. Click. Levi directly put seastone handcuffs on Bega's hands. Pull him out of Reiatsu and officially arrest him. I'm not willing to give in. I want to have a fair showdown with you. He was arrested without even raising a hand. Even if the opponent is Marine Admiral, Beeg is not convinced. He is the man who wants to become the Pirate King. His life has just begun. What are you thinking about? Fighting with that thing is not fun at all. I can crush you. Why should I fight you? You're just my military exploits. You have no right to impose conditions. Take them away. Advertisement. Yes. Next. Wait. Guillaume looked at the Reiatsu beam of light that was about to disappear and suddenly stopped Levi. Then, without waiting for Levi to react, he stepped directly into the Reiatsu beam of light. In an instant, her waist bent down. It's really heavy. Huh? Levi and the Marines were stunned. Guillaume Vice Admiral, what are you doing? Ah. Guillaume Vice Admiral couldn't help but make a sound. Haki, sword energy spurted out of her body. She is unleashing all her power. Then he let out an imaginative cry. Vice Admiral Guillaume, do you have any special hobbies? Levi suddenly became energetic and looked at Guillaume with a look of disbelief. I never expected that Guillaume Vice Admiral looks like a strong woman. I actually like this way of playing, but now my improved soul deterrence is stronger than before. Even Guillaume would definitely find it unbearable. Well, why don't we try this at another time in another place? Levi suggested as he looked at Guillaume Vice Admiral, who was exploding with all his strength, with his long hair disheveled, like a mad swordsman. No, don't. Stop, but Gion gritted his teeth and endured Levi's Reiatsu. Don't look at me with that weird look, what do you mean? Gion looked at Levi and she looked more and more weird. Gion couldn't help but tremble in his heart. What was his look like? Advertisement, I should ask you this is good for me. Yeah, I know, you like this, right? Like it? That's right, ahem. Gion couldn't help but cough up a mouthful of blood. But I don't feel that way anymore, it seems that it doesn't work every time, alas. Gion sighed in his heart. I came away from Reiatsu with some disappointment afterwards. Let's go, next pirate. My adjutant is a bit crooked. Levi held his chin and looked at Gion carefully for the first time. Straight legs, a beauty mark, a bit charming, and watery eyes with determination. There seems to be tenderness hidden in the depths. It's just well hidden, but I never expected that you would be such a candidate, Admiral. You are the one who is not serious. Gion glanced at Levi. As a Marine Admiral, she has to worry about everything. I still have the nerve to say that I am not serious. Do you like this very much? Although I don't have that kind of hobby, it's not impossible to accept it if you insist. Levi hasn't tried this kind of thing yet. What are you saying? Have you forgotten, woman? Hey, please speak clearly. Advertisement. Hey, look, isn't it the woman with a big stomach who has a bounty of 140 million Baileys? Why is she lying on the ground motionless? It's so weird. How about we take advantage of this opportunity, hee. Isn't it good to do it in broad daylight? Pig brain, what are you thinking about? Don't forget that we are bounty hunters. Of course we are going to capture them and exchange them for money. You can have this. A bounty hunter said and drew his weapon. But she was stopped by someone. Don't go there, didn't you see there were several corpses around her? They had the same idea as you just now. But Quan died suddenly for no reason. Judging from the appearance of her death, she died of broken internal organs. So evil. Bonnie was lying on the ground, with her upper and lower lips together, wearing a heart-shaped lipstick. She struggled to get up, not wanting to be watched by these guys like a pet. But she couldn't do it, the pressure was too terrifying. Is this the Conqueror's Haki that those guys mentioned before? But I've never heard of Haki being used like this. Bonnie was extremely horrified. Who? Get out of here. The hiding coward. Bonnie couldn't even lift his head and was stuck to the ground. But his tone was still aggressive and completely unconvinced. She knew that this enemy must be extremely powerful. But after controlling her, she still didn't come out. Instead, she was exposed to the public. This is obviously contempt and insult. Protect the captain. The other pirate subordinates were also on alert. That's that. Marine's newly promoted 4th Admiral, Black Crow, and the alternate Admiral, my god, what kind of lineup is this? Is it necessary? Is the power of celestial dragons really that great? Suddenly all the onlookers were, all looking in the same direction. Jewelry Bonnie, you're under arrest. 15. Do you want to talk to me about justice? Sorry, I don't have one. First update? Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. The sound of clanking iron chains sounded on the main road in Area 8 of Sabodi Archipelago. What are you looking at, you bastard? You want to fight? Jewelry Bonnie looked at the curious people on the street and yelled very aggressively. He is young but has a very hot temper. Hearing Bonnie's roar, ordinary people quickly took back the house and peeked through the windows. The bounty hunters looked at him unscrupulously, only looking at the handsome young man in the front. The eyes are full of awe and curiosity, and looking at the prisoners behind him who were handcuffed with sea stones and connected by anklets. They were all horrified. That's the gangster Capone Bead, the big stomach girl Jewelry Bonnie, the DJ Sound Apu, the rebellious Rear Admiral Drake and the weird monk Robe. Oh my god. They're all big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. Is this the 4th Marine Admiral? The pirate with a bounty of over 100 million, caught one after another? I heard that these bounty criminals didn't even see Admiral, they were all subdued from the air. Are you kidding? How is this possible? No matter how strong Admiral is, he can't subdue his opponents without showing off. These are villains with a bounty of over 100 million, lawless gangsters. They can't just be captured. Some people didn't believe it. Even the strength of this 4th Admiral may not be weaker than other Marine Admirals. But how could we not take action to defeat the enemy? Definitely, how can we defeat these guys without taking action? Advertisement. Regardless of this era, many people are talking about how dazzling Supernova 11 is. Even before the Straw Hats when they defeated the Celestial Dragons. Some people on the island of Sabodi vaguely refer to the 11 of them as members of the worst era. But the trouble they bring is indeed quite big, it also represents chaos. It's true, I have the phone bug video as evidence. I'm sure that when these supernovas fell, the Black Crow Admiral and Gion Vice Admiral had not yet reached them. Really? Someone was stunned on the spot, and there was a phone bug video as evidence. That shouldn't be false. The 4th Admiral at Marine Headquarters is too strong. Is he a person with special abilities? Black Crow Admiral. In the crowd, a sexy young girl waved hello to Levi. Keep making secret glances. High military rank, young age, strong strength. Destined to become the national husband of many people in this world. And it also represents the just side. It's just that, is the power of celestial dragons really that great? When dispatched, there's an admiral and a backup admiral. This lineup should not be afraid even if it faces the 4 emperors, right? Are the celestial dragons really worthy of their marine's maintenance? Humph. Among the crowd. It's not all praise. Life in the Sabodi Archipelago. Advertisement. They have seen too many cruel and inhumane aspects of the celestial dragons. In their opinion, the Marine Admiral, who maintains justice, should not serve such a person. Marine? Admiral? Bah. He's just a lackey of the celestial dragons. A man with a stooped body and scarred face who seemed to have experienced inhuman torture said and spat a mouthful of thick phlegm on the ground. What do you want to do? Levi saw Guillaume walking towards the man angrily. He looked evil because that man just called Marine Admiral a lackey. We Marines are on the front line and we are going through life and death, so why should we be criticized by others? Guillaume insisted. Over the years, countless compatriots have fallen on the road to justice. What qualifications do they have to say this? What he said is not unreasonable. If you are in your position, you should know some things about celestial dragons. Levi's words stopped Guillaume, who had just raised his feet. Then he looked at Levi in disbelief. Do you know what celestial dragons usually do? Guillaume didn't quite believe it. She had wanted to be a high-ranking general and uphold justice all her life. Almost no one can change this. The only thing that was a little hard for her to accept was Marine Admiral needs to obey direct orders from the world government. And if it wasn't the Marine Admiral, it was just the Vice Admiral. Orders usually go from superiors to Sengoku and back to them. That often leaves room for detours. According to Guillaume's information, Levi had been staying on an island. He had never left the island, but was brought out by Marshal Sengoku. How could he know this? And he is now a Marine Admiral. Advertisement. You know some words and things, but you can't talk nonsense. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if it reaches the ears of the world government. Is there anything strange? Levi wondered. You know, I can't know? You know, then why do you want to become an admiral? Admiral is a direct subordinate of the world government. Guillaume didn't understand. She had this pursuit, but sometimes she struggled with it. She thought Levi didn't know much about marine or world government. You don't want to hear about justice, do you? Levi asked with a smile. Is not it? Of course not. I'm sorry, I really don't have justice. Maybe you do. Levi smiled disapprovingly. Seeing Guillaume still confused, Levi said one more thing. Becoming a Marine Admiral is just a matter of dawdling. What I am doing now is only beneficial to me. I will not sacrifice my life for the celestial dragons. In the same way, I will not sacrifice my life for Marine. I would rather be a businessman. Perspective on our relationship. What relationship? Business relationship or employment relationship? You give me convenience, I will get rid of some troubles for you. This is called dedication. By the way, you are not going to report me, are you? Levi smiled meaningfully. I'm not that boring, but it's best not to let others hear your words, especially those from the world government. Otherwise you, the Admiral, may not be able to sit still. Guillaume was stunned for a moment, and suddenly felt the distance between the two is much closer. This was the first time in her life that she heard someone say that being a Marine Admiral was just to get by. Suddenly she felt that the goal she had been pursuing all her life was nothing more than this. Hawkins is right in front. Then there are a few main dishes. You may have to prepare for battle. Weren't they all subdued? In life, there are bound to be some surprises. 16. Drake. One of my own. Real conquerors. Second update, asking for flower evaluation votes. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Sure enough, I can't escape. The victory rate is 0% 100, the escape rate is 0% 100, and the surrender rate is 0% 100. Although there is still no sign of death today, what is the difference between this and death? I didn't expect to encounter this kind of enemy since I went to sea. Obviously the probability calculated when the celestial dragons were first defeated was not like this. Magician Hawkins was filled with despair when he thought of the 3 zeros he had divined not long ago. He never thought that one day he would divine such a divination for himself. The 4th Marine Admiral is so terrifying. What a coincidence. Beeg looked at the string of supernovae in front of him and couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. Even though he himself was not in a good situation, he saw so many people who were as unlucky as him. It seems that I feel less miserable. Levi now only has Guillaume and a small team of Marines by his side. Other Marines helped maintain order throughout the island. And went to arrest other bounty prisoners. The bounty is millions, tens of millions of pirates of this level. With strong firepower and a large number of elite Marines, it is not easy to take advantage. If you are not careful, you will be arrested. I didn't expect you to be so unlucky. It's all the fault of those idiots like Straw Hat and Kid. You brought Marine Admiral here for no reason, DJing Apu said angrily. Damn it. Originally he just wanted to watch the excitement, but unexpectedly, the light beam descended from the sky and suppressed him directly. Now it is carried around like a pet, walking around the entire Saboti archipelago. Advertisement, but they didn't dare not leave, and they didn't dare to have any objections. After all, there is hope only when you are alive. Ma Dan, didn't Marshal Sengoku say that I am one of his own? Drake walked in the middle of the team, speechless. Even life without love, he was arranged by Marshal Sengoku to join the Kaido pirates as an undercover agent. Now that he is arrested by his own people, what does this mean? Because of his ancient fruit, he fits the recruitment criteria of Kaido of the Beast's lineage very well. He was deliberately arranged. It is easy for pirates to break into Marine and work as an undercover agent. But it's not easy for Marine to break into the pirates and work as an undercover agent. In order to be successful, they made many arrangements. The rebellious rear admiral, the right person with fruit abilities, and the accidental encounter. with the Beast's pirates in the New World in the future. But I never imagined I was in the Sabaody archipelago. You will be arrested by yourself for the mistakes of others. This is too ridiculous. Oops, I seem to have forgotten to mention that Drake is one of our own. Forget it, his target should be the Straw Hats. The others should be fine. If he is caught, we can find a way to let him out later. Marshal Sengoku, who was at the Marine headquarters, suddenly remembered something. But then I felt like it was nothing. After all, when it comes to death, Drake will confess to Marine Admiral. If you really dare to tell Levi, if it is leaked through the phone bug, it may be counter-exploited. Advertisement, it's usually a last resort. They would use phone bugs to contact Drake. This is all to ensure that Drake can successfully join Beast's pirates. Over the years, Kaido has developed rapidly by leveraging Wanokuna's resources and location. The overall power has increased greatly, so arrangements must be made in advance. Kid Kira and Luo had the most friends left, basically no one left. They were trying their best to get the three of them out of the Reiatsu beam of light. No, anything that enters this beam of light will be suppressed and unable to move at all. What to do? How are we going to rescue the captain? Bibo, the white bear, scratched his ears and gills anxiously. But I don't know what to do. Move, bastard, just move a little. I can't end up in this place without revenge. Luo tried his best to lift a finger, but couldn't. As long as he can lift a finger, he can barely use the Op Fruit ability. But the person who attacked them didn't know what kind of terrifying monster they were. Just this beam of light makes it extremely difficult for them to use a finger. Luo was filled with dissatisfaction. However, there are too many unwilling people in this world. From the day I became a pirate, they thought that this might be their result. They don't regret it, they just don't get it done yet and are extremely unwilling to do so. Advertisement, asshole. Kid felt the unprecedented humiliation, and he lay down like a dead dog. There is no resistance at all, it's so embarrassing. Lousy is the man who wants to become the Pirate King. He must not die and be defeated like this, Kid roared, his whole body filled with electromagnetic force. At this moment, his fingers actually moved. In extreme anger and humiliation, electromagnetic lightning seemed to flash across his red-haired hedgehog head. Then there was a boom, and a wave of Conqueror's Haki suddenly erupted under this extremely suppressed situation. The uncontrollable Conqueror's Haki is extremely powerful. Unconscious release, strength or weakness has nothing to do with deliberate control. Rather, it has to do with the state of mind during the outbreak. For example, in Summit War, Luffy was extremely angry and exploded with the power of Conqueror's Haki. Let the top experts in the entire battlefield be very afraid. The power was also amazing, and it directly stunned the executioner who was about to execute him. It's almost similar to Kid's state right now. Conqueror's Haki exploded, slightly shaking the three surrounding light pillars. Although it was only for a moment, Luo fully grasped the opportunity. A light blue field unfolded. Room. Whoosh whoosh. The three figures exchanged with the three pebbles outside. If it were normal, Luo would not care about Kid's life or death, and would even have a chance to kill him with a last-ditch blow. Maybe he will take action too, but now there is an enemy greater than ever in the shadows. He had to get Kid and the others together, so maybe there was a chance of survival. 17. Shred Conqueror's Haki's High Concentration Reiatsu. The third update, asking for flower evaluation votes. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Captain, what was that you burst out just now? A pirate looked at Kid in surprise. I don't know, damn, who attacked us? Kid couldn't care less at this time, he just looked around cautiously. Kira also took out his two knives and quickly and skillfully turned them around in his hands. He scanned the surroundings with the same vigilance. They finally tried their best to escape from the bear. I didn't expect that I would encounter a sneak attack from a powerful person in this place. Who is it? Get out of here, Kid roared angrily. Awesome. I didn't expect you to break free from the imprisonment, it's amazing. Logically speaking, even if you have Conqueror's Haki, you can't break my imprisonment. But with the cooperation of Op Fruit, you have achieved such a goal. I have learned a lot. Levi walked slowly from not far away, slightly surprised. Because Luffy and Zoro are still suppressed by the Reiatsu beam of light. But these two people broke free, isn't this more of a protagonist than a protagonist? But the abilities of the two work perfectly together. It's a miracle. Who? Hearing Levi's voice, Kid Luoji pulled three criminals with a bounty of over 100 million and looked towards Levi at the same time. Gion holds the weapon in his hand, and his body exudes fierce sword energy. She is the alternate admiral, although the three people in front of her are not weak. But for her, taking them down is not a big problem. Advertisement. It just takes some time. Momousagi Vice Admiral, Black Crow Admiral, in 2 days, under the great publicity of Marine Headquarters. Everyone knows the world has a fourth Marine Admiral. When they saw Levi and Gion, even Kid and Law's expressions changed drastically. Even if they are usually arrogant, at the same time Levi is just a new admiral. But they knew from the suppression just now, he is far from the opponent of this fourth admiral. Not to mention Admiral, even the famous substitute Admiral Momousagi next to them may not be able to beat them. That was the woman who had fought head-on with Hawkeye. Although he lost, he is still a famous swordsman throughout the world. Escape. Luo immediately gave the order to his subordinates without any hesitation. Then he expanded the field and teleported his partners to evacuate far away. Damn it. So what if you were Admiral? In the future, I will knock you down, and I will remember this. Although Kid was fierce, he was not surrounded by Kaido. It doesn't have to be a fight to the death, there might even be a possibility of escape. If it is not possible, then the only option is to fight to the death. It's a very correct choice, but it's a pity that I need to borrow your identity. Since you have become a pirate, then blame your bad luck. Besides, you may not die. Who knows what will happen in the future? But it will be very interesting to think about it. Haha. Levi takes one step forward. Reiatsu riots, soul damage and intimidation are instantly enhanced. There was a buzzing sound in the air, and the area instantly became darker and darker. It seems like the night has suddenly ushered in, and only the Reiatsu on Levi is like a bright light in the darkness. Advertisement, what is this, Kid? Luo and others felt an extremely terrifying aura coming out from behind them. It was as if the Shinigami had come and put a knife on their necks, threatening death at any moment. At this moment, some people even lost their extravagant hope and courage to live. He fell to the ground with a thud. Even Luo and Kid are both determined people. He has also experienced hundreds of battles and is no weaker than the average Marine Vice Admiral. But at this moment, being enveloped by Levi's Reiatsu at close range, my body instinctively felt fear. Even if he didn't faint immediately, he still became unable to move due to fear. Mainly because he was unconscious and moving seemed troublesome to Levi. It's also not easy to string together other supernovae. His Haki has indeed become a little stronger than before. This monster, damn it, I haven't seen him practicing in the past few days, how can he still become stronger? Gion was shocked, envious, and a little aggrieved. And a little bit of admiration, it's impossible. Even if you're Marine Admiral, the gap between us can't be this big. I don't believe it. Since I can't escape, I'll kill you. Under such high pressure, Kid actually burst out Conquerors again Haki. Then he gathered the remaining weapons from the previous battle and formed a mechanical arm to blast Levi. The potential is indeed extraordinary, but unfortunately it is only potential. Although in a certain respect, you are a loyal person, you are also an out-and-out pirate. I don't like pirates who slaughter civilians. Levi's eyes narrowed. Kid has admitted this himself, so there is no intelligence error. Even if civilians make rude remarks, the crime will not lead to death. And isn't that normal? Taunting pirates is something normal people would do. Advertisement, is it possible that, after becoming a pirate, the world still needs to praise pirates? Maybe that's what's morbid. The entire Reiatsu in front of me condensed instantly, like a piece of yang rushing towards Kid. The Conqueror's Haki, who was suddenly swept over, was instantly torn apart by Reiatsu mercilessly. There is a huge difference in level strength. Then Reiatsu hit Kid's metal arm with a loud bang. It shattered the entire giant metal arm, with one of Kid's flesh and blood arms. Blood splatters. Kid was spitting out blood, his bones were shattered, and he was knocked away. It looks like he stole the redhead's job, but it doesn't seem to matter. Captain Kira and his other subordinates were immediately shocked. Lost. Captain Kid, whom they thought was invincible. He was defeated by a look from his opponent. What a joke. Are all the admirals at Marine headquarters such monsters? You must know that since entering the Grand Line, they have overcome obstacles and killed many strong men. Captain Kid and Vice Captain Kira even defeated a Marine Vice Admiral once in a bloody battle. But now, he is so weak. Sure enough, we can't win. Luo got rid of his fear and prepared to move his fingers again. But when Levi looked over, there was a roar, as if there was an invisible mountain in the void, directly suppressing him to the ground, unable to move. Kid Killaro. 3 supernovae successfully captured. 5% 18. Tyrant Bear, are you in Gon Shenmue? 4th update, please vote for flower evaluation. Previous chapter, next chapter advertisement, Luffy. Zoro, Dorsey. Chopper was so anxious that he almost burst into tears. They tried their best and finally knocked down the bear. But before he could leave, 2 beams of light suddenly fell from the sky. It doesn't look lethal, but it falls on Luffy and Zoro. To make it difficult for the 2 of them to move. They tried everything they could to get the 2 of them out of the beam of light. Even Iron Man Frankie just stuck his arm through that pillar. With a buzz, he lay on the ground. In the end, Frankie gave up an iron arm to avoid being nailed to the ground. Nami's weather stick was useless. She was trying to interfere with the sky's climate operations. She thought that the light beam might be related to changes in the surrounding environment. But in vain. Robin Flower Fruit's arm can appear out of thin air in the light beam. But as soon as it appeared, it was immediately shattered. Although it was Robin's arm, it was not as hard as the real body. She was subjected to extreme pressure and could easily be forcibly destroyed. If she tried to be brave, her arms would be scrapped. Usopp was racking his brains, and an idea slowly formed in his mind, but it was dangerous and incomplete. Advertisement, he wanted to see if he could blow both of them out of the beam of light with explosive gunpowder bombs. But this is very likely to cause serious injuries to both of them. Sanji has nothing to do, he just kicks. If he attacks, he himself will suffer. At that time, who will protect Nami and the others? And they still have enemies in front of them. Zon Momomaru appeared in front of them with the remaining pacifist. However, Zon Tamaru was also confused, looking at the light beam falling from the sky. What kind of ability is this? Is it a friendly force? Both Straw Hat and Loloro Azoro were subdued. This is obviously helping them. These 2 are the highest strength of the Straw Hats. This saves trouble. They were able to defeat a pacifist together before. It is enough to prove their extraordinary strength. If only he and the pacifists around him. There may have been things that slipped through the net, but not now. Damn it, what did you do? Sanji's face turned dark as he stood in front of Nami and others. Watching Zon Momomaru slowly approaching from a distance with another pacifist with great vigilance. I didn't do anything. Even if you ask me, I wouldn't be able to tell you that this was probably an attack by Marine's 4th Admiral. I'm the most strict-tongued man in the world. Zon Taomaru said confidently, said. What? The 4th Marine Admiral? Sanji, Robin and others were suddenly shocked. It turned out to be the Marine Admiral. I have seen the power of Aokiji before. Now not only Robin, the entire Straw Hats are very afraid of Marine Admiral. Advertisement, although they don't regret what they did. But they didn't expect that the Sabaody archipelago was so big, and they encountered the Marine Admiral. There is clearly 7 warlords of the sea, but there is a Marine Admiral secretly. How to fight this? Seeing Zon Momomaru getting closer, each of them felt a little desperate. But what made them even more desperate was that another voice sounded. I found you, the Straw Hat Pirates. Whoosh! Another pacifist appeared out of thin air, holding a book in his hand. Appearing between Sen Momomaru and the Straw Hat Pirates like teleporting. Another one, damn it, how many modified people like this do Marine have? Frankie immediately yelled. Down one, come two, and there's a Marine Admiral too. This time, I'm afraid it's really a desperate situation. Yes. I am the one, feeling the unique aura of the Tyrant Bear that is completely different from other pacifists. Zoro raised his eyelids and said with difficulty. He never gave up struggling, and wisps of ghost energy and sword energy filled the air from his body. For Zoro, who has made an invincible promise, he couldn't accept such a disastrous defeat. This made Usopp and the others even more frightened. 7 warlords of the sea's true form is out, wouldn't it be stronger? Shang, why are you here too? Have you received the mission? Zon Taowen asked in confusion. But I didn't regard the bear as a traitor or anything like that. Because bears do so well in the lab. We have always been a good partner of the world government. Advertisement. Let them settle some matters and leave them to me, Shang said expressionlessly, regardless of whether Zon Taomaru wanted to do it or not. He walked straight towards the shivering Straw Hat Pirates. It seems that I, an old man, can no longer sit idly by and let all the good seedlings be wiped out. I'm going to trouble you, old man. Rayleigh took out a knife from a place in the tavern, a famous knife. Then he tapped his toes, and his whole body was like a stream of light, flying close to the ground at an extremely fast speed. Looking at the Tyrant Bear getting closer and closer. Luffy was extremely anxious. Move quickly, bastard, don't hurt my partner. In this case, thanks to the tenacity and vitality of rubber fruit. Luffy is actually able to squirm like a snail in Reiatsu. There is a breathtaking power surging through him. Zon Taowen frowned, feeling that something was wrong with the bear's condition. Tyrant Bear took one step and passed directly over Sanji and others. He came to Luffy and stretched out a palm toward Luffy in the Reiatsu beam of light. Goodbye. Tyrant Bear has abilities similar to space movement and fleshy fruit abilities. No matter how powerful this light beam is, with his strength it is almost infinitely close to Admiral or not weaker than Admiral. As long as you can move a little bit and touch Straw Hat Luffy, you can directly bounce him away. That is the ability of the space system, which can definitely get rid of this strange light beam. After all, he is the son of the dragon, and he cannot let anything happen to them here no matter what. Moreover, Nico Robin must be bounced to a nearby place where the Revolutionary Army has a base. Hopefully the dragon can find her, it's the last thing he can do for them. Tisk. The Tyrant Bear stretched his hand into the light curtain. There was blood splattering on his arm, and there was also the sound of the machine being crushed. Bartholomew Kuma, are you? Gon Shenmo, Levi's voice with a teasing accent suddenly sounded. 5% 19. I really don't know, I still have this talent, 5th update, please give me monthly tickets, flowers, and review votes. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, keep an eye on them, Levi said to Gion. Gion is holding an iron chain in his hand, and the other 9 supernovae are strung on the iron chain. When this string of supernovae appeared, Sanji and others were shocked. Because I was at Shaki's rip-off tavern before. They had learned about the criminals with a bounty of over 100 million who landed on the island around the same time as them. But now, not one of them was left out, and they were all arrested. Marine Admiral, is it so scary? Haha, Straw Hat Boy, it's finally your turn, you idiot. I really don't know what you were thinking in your head. Why are you messing with the celestial dragons? It's fine now, everyone is done. Capone Beeg sneered and mocked. At this moment, he even wanted to smoke a cigar. But unfortunately, as a prisoner, he does not have the right to smoke. Yeah. Gion looked around and found that except for the Straw Hat Pirates. The others are all our own, so this time the Straw Hat Pirates should be unable to fly. If this can make people run away, they might as well just resign. What are you thinking about? Why do you look like you have a chance to win? You don't have any flag in your heart, do you? What do you mean? Gion didn't quite understand what Levi wanted to express. There is English in this world, but what does it mean to suddenly say flag? I don't understand. It's okay if you don't understand. Take care of yourself. If you have any trouble, call me. Levi waved his hand and walked towards the Tyrant Bear. Of course I will take care of myself, and you still have to say. Gion was stunned for a moment. Advertisement. Then he felt a little unnatural and looked at Levi's back and shouted. Does he care about himself? It had been many years since she became a Marine general, and it had been a long time since she heard anyone caring about her. Because she is so strong, no one cares if she is in danger. There are very few people in this world who are qualified to worry about her. After all, those who are stronger than her are the small group of people in the world. Black Crow Admiral. Levi's appearance attracted everyone's attention. Let's not talk about the situation of the group of captured pirates behind him. The 4 words Marine Admiral alone are like a towering and unscalable mountain weighing on everyone's heart. Even my own people are no exception. Zon Taomaru was also very curious, and he also found it a little hard to believe. Levi is really as young as he looks in the photo. It is such a young person who has become a Marine Admiral like Mr. Kizaru. Hey, I'm not even a Marine yet. He is the captain of the scientific force, not a Marine. Zon Taomaru was envious at this moment, and he got the news. Mr. Kizaru once tried to test the strength of Black Crow Admiral and recognized him, and Zon Momomaru believed in Mr. Kizaru's judgment. He also believes that Levi must have the combat power of an admiral-level warrior. Never underestimate him just because he is young. Advertisement. Tyrant Bear clearly sensed that his every move was completely locked by this new admiral. From the day Levi first became Marine Admiral, he tried his best to investigate Levi, but his resume was very average and ordinary. Even Tyrant Bear can't imagine how Levi cultivated his powerful strength. After being targeted by Levi, Tyrant Bear felt heavy. It's just that he, who doesn't have much emotion, is still expressionless at this moment. It's just that he hesitated in his movements, and he was stared at. What do you want to do, Dark Captain? Get out of here. Devil Wind kicks. Sanji turned at high speed, his black feet burned red, and kicked the Tyrant Bear with a ferocious kick. He didn't know that Tyrant Bear was here to help them at this moment. But even if you know, Levi felt that Sanji would still kick him. After all, it was 2 years of hell, pung, but Tyrant Bear just raised his other hand. Sanji's devilish kick kicked the meatball, and the whole person was immediately sent flying by the rebound. Marine Admiral. Nami Robin's face turned pale, except for Sanji's. Others didn't even have time to react. Damn it. This can't go on like this. You are not allowed to touch my partner. Luffy roared hysterically, and the strength in his body continued to surge, even if he was suppressed on the ground. At this moment, Luffy also entered the second gear state, and his body was steaming with heat. But Tyrant Bear hesitated and was targeted by Marine Admiral. Advertisement. Even if it's less than 10 centimeters away from Luffy. But under this beam of light, these 10 centimeters seemed as far away as a chasm. Boom. A burst of Red Conqueror's Haki burst out from Luffy. Sweeping the entire area instantly, the Red Conqueror's Haki is filled with explosive energy waves after a desperate situation. A person's Conqueror's Haki embodies the person's courage and will. In other words, the color of Conqueror's Haki is not fixed, but is related to the user's state of mind at that time. There are also certain strengths and weaknesses. For example, Conqueror's in Luffy's Summit War is light blue. It's black and red when it collides with Brother Ming later, and it's red when it's against Bullet. The domineering golden color has also been shown. Because Bullet almost killed Usopp, Luffy was extremely angry and desperate at that time. Just like now, Conqueror's Haki? The strong men present felt the Haki that Luffy broke out at this moment. A look of surprise flashed across Zon Momomaru's face. He didn't expect a new pirate to be among them. There is a Conqueror's Haki that only exists in 1 million people. The Straw Hat Boy really can't stay. Another Conqueror's Haki? Is he arresting people, or helping others awaken Conqueror's Haki? Guillaume looked in disbelief, looking behind Levi thoughtfully. Then I added in my heart, it's better to help others than help me. Maybe I also have this potential. There is no conflict between Conqueror's awakening and the armed colors he has mastered. When Levi heard this, he subconsciously looked back and explained helplessly. What are you talking about? I really don't know that I still have this talent. 20. Hit the Tyrant Bear away. Luffy's soul has a secret. Update 6. Please vote for monthly flower tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Could Reiatsu still be able to squeeze the deep potential of a person's soul or will? It's impossible for two people to have such a coincidence, and Conqueror's Haki burst out under the beam of Reiatsu's light. After Levi finished speaking, he couldn't help but start to have doubts. At least in Levi's memory, neither of the two Sabaody archipelago has ever broken out Conqueror's Haki. At that time, Luffy was beaten away by his friends one by one by the bear. He was also extremely desperate, but still didn't break out Conqueror's Haki. Just as he was thinking about it, his eyes suddenly focused, and a force of Reiatsu as powerful as a meteorite suddenly rushed towards the Tyrant Bear, knocking it away directly. You continue after telling me, and you do it in front of me. I don't want to lose face, is that? Tyrant Bear noticed Levi turning around for a moment. Then he used all his strength and prepared to shoot Luffy away. Luffy burst out Conqueror's Haki, shaking the Reiatsu beam of light. Although not obvious, it also reduces the stress on the bear. And Levi's breath lock finally became unstable for a moment. For bears, this is the best opportunity, but unexpectedly, his hand just stretched forward a centimeter. A terrible sense of oppression came from all directions with a power that had no way to escape. Tyrant Bear noticed it, but at first thought it was the same Conqueror's Haki. But soon I found something was wrong. That power was terrifyingly lethal. And in a flash, the tyrant bear rushed over as if ignoring the distance, and the tyrant bear prepared to teleport away. But it's still too late, that force is faster. With a heavy blow from Peng, the tyrant bear was blown away. A large piece of the chest was dented, revealing a bare metal structure, and electric sparks danced around the wound. Advertisement, hey, everyone present was confused. Why did they start fighting first? The tyrant bear crashed into an archy mangrove tree and was able to stop its upward momentum. What do you want to do? Although everyone has their own opinions, the Straw Hat is now my credit, and some grandfathers want to teach their grandsons again. I think it would be fun. Levi walked towards Luffy step by step. Levi is determined to catch Luffy. Because Luffy is the main culprit, if he is not arrested, what will he be doing on this trip, other than paddling? Although Levi doesn't hate the Straw Hat Pirates. I was even touched by their adventurous spirit, but now Levi is no longer a bystander. But this is a real person, we cannot look at them so ideally. Now they are their own merits and become a stepping stone for them to enter the Holy Land. At the same time, he also wanted to try to see if this world really had a predetermined destiny. Anyway, as long as you don't kill all Luffy's friends, just target Luffy. He is very easy to fool. Levi didn't want to kill Luffy and he didn't need to. As long as you catch Luffy and you get the credit, what happens next is none of your business. And Levi had a naughty idea in his mind, if Garp could retrain Luffy. So what will things look like in the future? That is a poor old man who is constantly struggling in the face of justice and family affection. With Garp's relationship, world government can really catch Luffy. It is unlikely that Luffy will be executed. At most, he will be imprisoned and impelled down and tortured for a period of time. Unleash the wrath of celestial dragons. Then Levi wanted to try to find out what secrets Luffy had. Why the old times and Roger and those guys? Advertisement. They all predicted that this person would definitely appear. Even Shanks, the redhead, found Luffy right. That couldn't be a coincidence. Levi thought it was more likely to be inevitable. What does the giant Straw Hat in the Holy Land have to do with Luffy? Even without these, now that first I'm a marine, they're pirates. It is only natural to catch them yourself, but Levi isn't completely on either side. Before we know the core secrets of world government and the fact that the Revolutionary Army really fully considers the people, Levi will not reveal their identities and secrets easily. It is most important and wise to make use of these and obtain things that are in your own interests. Levi wouldn't even tell Sengoku if there was no benefit. Tyrant Bear is an undercover agent of the Revolutionary Army. When he chooses to say so, that must be a situation that is particularly favorable to you. There is no way, in this world full of dangers, the only one Levi can trust now is himself. Only when you become stronger can you continue to benefit. No matter who you become in the future, all have the ability to protect themselves. Selfishness is a bit selfish, but how many people can be great in this world? As Levi said, he doesn't have justice. Advertisement. He will do whatever justice he can, but he still thinks about himself more. Tyrant Bear now blocks himself from capturing the Straw Hats. It is not in line with Levi's established interests. So Levi took action and knocked away the Tyrant Bear. Luffy, who originally broke out Conqueror's Haki and wanted to stand up again, was stunned when he saw this scene. At the same time, thinking back to just now, he seemed to feel no murderous aura from the Tyrant Bear. How is this going? You'd better lie down obediently, Straw Hat Boy. Levi moved his fingers, and the Reiatsu spread, and the pressure on the light beam that enveloped Luffy doubled instantly. Puff. Luffy spurted out a mouthful of blood, finally relying on Conqueror's Haki to burst out and move his body a little. He lay deeply on the ground again. Zoro Loya, Monkey D. Luffy, you have been arrested. Levi just said. Suddenly his eyes froze. His eyes were not on the Tyrant Bear who was moving in a flash and approaching quickly. Nor was it on the powerful man rushing toward him with terror in the distance. Instead it fell on Luffy. I told you to stop. Conqueror's Haki erupted for the second time, and this time Luffy stood up directly in the Reiatsu pillar. This surprised Levi, and at the same time he couldn't help but complain in his heart. He always felt like a villain waiting to be killed by the protagonist. But it was just a thought that flashed across my mind. When it comes to cheats, it's better to open the door yourself, so there's no need to be afraid of Luffy. It's just that Levi is under Reiatsu perception. When Luffy broke out, Levi saw Luffy's soul, which seemed to be very different from ordinary people. It feels like the years have passed, but isn't he only 17 years old? 21. Weird soul, is this how all things breathe? Update 7, please give me monthly flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Other people's souls are no different from the original body. What the person is, the soul is basically the same. In this world, Wangshen is real. Brook's experience and the experiences he mentioned all prove this point. The soul is also real. Levi can also see people's souls after possessing Reiatsu. But when a person is alive, his soul overlaps with his body. And exactly the same as myself. Nothing special. But Luffy stood up from Reiatsu at this moment. His soul is full of vicissitudes of life. It seems to have gone through many years of precipitation. And the soul is different from ordinary people. Most people's souls are transparent. But there's something dark and unclear about Luffy's soul. And staring at those places, Levi found that someone seemed to be staring at him. There is indeed a secret about Straw Hat. Does Garp know something? Or is there some special fruit power user that can make people in the past choose the current Luffy to become the representative? Or maybe someone played a game of chess on Luffy? It's impossible. Would people in this world calculate this far? Levi was full of doubts at first. But the fluctuations of the soul are the most real. Advertisement: the soul in Luffy is not entirely his own. Then think of the fruit ability users and various prophecies in Tianue. Levi thinks someone is playing a big game against Luffy. Or it's entirely possible to cross time and place something on Luffy. Even taking a bold guess, maybe Tianue traveled through time more than 800 years ago. She might not be alone when she comes. Instead, there's a whole team of people who arrive at different time periods. Find the right talent or look for a specific place. But in the end, he found Odin and stayed with him. Because Odin's Wano-kuni holds many secrets of this world. The forger of this historical article once closed his country to avoid disaster. Must be an important node in the search for Raftel or the truth about the world. Tianyuashi's arrival in this country may mean that her mission has been achieved. The soul has a very keen perception, but others, including Garp, don't have it. Could this be the legendary ability to hear the sounds of all things? Even my Reiatsu detection, it seems that there is some kind of power deep in the Straw Hat's soul. You can all feel it, it's interesting. From now on, everyone, run away with all your strength. We are no match for these guys now. Luffy gave the captain's order. Even though Luffy has always refused to admit defeat, he is very confident. At this moment, I have to admit that there is a huge gap between myself and these guys in front of me. Long live escape! Usopp and Nami shouted in unison, then ran away. Luffy also struggled out of the Reiatsu pillar. It seemed like there was some power deep in his soul helping him. Stimulating his physical potential. Advertisement. But Levi wasn't about to let Luffy escape. Bear's impact. At this time, the bear took action to stop it. He opened his hands, and an air cannon that he compressed into a transparent bear paw slowly flew towards Levi. As soon as it comes into contact, a terrifying explosion and shockwave will be released. This move once covered the entire ship of terror. This obstruction also means that he is completely hostile to Marine. But to him, it doesn't matter, because with the transformation of Dr. Vegapunk, his consciousness is about to disappear. Even if something is exposed, he will not reveal the secrets of the Revolutionary Army. After returning this time, the final renovation will be carried out. As for attacking Marine, as long as he doesn't admit it, it can be assumed that there is a problem with the mechanical processing chip. At the same time, Levi can make the first move, so he can find any excuse. It doesn't matter whether you believe Marine or not, and it doesn't matter whether you believe world government. When the experiment reaches the final step, he is considered a prisoner. They also use their own, not to mention, he is not a prisoner yet. Although Luffy let everyone escape, but he stepped into Zoro's Reiatsu pillar alone. Trying to take Zoro away, Nami, Sanji and the others can only believe in Luffy now. With their strength, staying would be even more of a hindrance. The transparent bear mark condensed by the air cannon blasted towards Levi. Advertisement: Levi kept walking towards Luffy without changing his expression. The bear impact is coming. Touch. Boom. Terrifying explosions and air shockwaves roared, destroying everything around them. Trees, houses and rocks were all blown to pieces. But Levi is wrapped in light blue Reiatsu. A protective barrier was formed, and the sky was shattered by air cannonballs. Levi's clothes were not damaged at all. Bartholomew Kuma, what do you mean? Zon Momomaru's face immediately turned evil when he saw Tyrant Bear attacking Marine Admiral openly. Is there really something wrong with Tyrant Bear? Didn't you just want to take down the Straw Hat, but have other plans? Otherwise, after being attacked by Levi, why would he fight back without any doubts? Unusual. Gathering. Diversion. Levi stretched his body, with Levi as the center. Thousands of Reiatsu suddenly appeared from the ground. It's just that these Reiatsu light beams are not that thick, they are only about the size of a little finger. Like a forest, it densely covers a radius of tens of thousands of meters, and the top is connected to the sky. It looks very spectacular, magnificent and breathtaking. The entire Sabaody archipelago looked up to the sky. I felt a strong sense of uneasiness in my heart. What exactly is going on? Why does it feel like the Sabaody archipelago has become less like a human being? Like the end of the world, like hell. 22. The Legend of the Old Times, Pluton Rayleigh takes action. 8th update, please give me monthly flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter, next chapter advertisement. What is this? Is it God's means? Zon Taowen was a little stunned when he looked at the scene in front of him. He could feel the power of these tiny beams of shunt light. As soon as these shunts appeared, Reiatsu gradually surrounded Luffy and Tyrant Bear like a birdcage, shrinking them. As soon as Luffy pulled Zoro out of the Reiatsu beam, he was surrounded again. Every time the body passes through a shunt Reiatsu, the speed is greatly reduced. Because Reiatsu is too heavy, as if caught in a slow light. Ghost energy, 9 swordsman style. Zoro transformed into a 3-headed and 6-armed evil spirit and slashed at these Reiatsu streams. But it's a pity that no matter how powerful his slash is, he can't crush Levi's Reiatsu at this moment. Even if it's just a small diversion, whatever he means, I'll stop him and you go catch him. Gion saw the Tyrant Bear and wanted to take action. He drew his sword and slashed at it, blocking the Tyrant Bear's attack. Created great conditions for Levi. Young man, Why do you have to kill everyone when you do something? Just give the young shoots away to survive. But at this time, a slightly old and heavy voice sounded. Even as he spoke, he already swung his sword at Levi. The sword light suddenly flashed, and the cold air was overwhelming. It was much sharper, more precise and more fierce than Gion's sword light. We're finally here, Silver Rayleigh. Levi's expression remained unchanged. Instead, he took a step forward, a very heavy step. Advertisement. The ground instantly sunk into a large pit, and a destructive Reiatsu burst out from Levi. It hurts the soul. It's like evil ghosts and ominous crows are chirping and attacking the enemy. There is an air of madness and death. What a terrifying pressure. The old man has lived for so many years and has never seen this kind of Haki that is full of death and looks like a Shinigami. It looks like Conqueror's Haki, but it seems more special. The person had long curly silver-white hair, wore glasses, and had a straight scar on his right eye. Holding a famous sword with cold light, and at this moment, this sword is like a soul-killing sword sweeping towards Levi's neck. Boom! The sword collides with Reiatsu, Levi's unknown soul-real wound. A terrifying ripple of energy turned into a terrifying shockwave that shot straight into the sky. Both of them were deliberately controlling the direction of the aftermath of the attack. If you really want to be unscrupulous, the entire Sabaody archipelago will immediately cause a major earthquake and unprecedented disaster. Blocked. A strange color flashed across Rayleigh's sharp eyes. Blocking, this was expected. After all, this young man is the 4th Admiral. How could that old fox Sengoku become a Marine Admiral without any skills? It's impossible that he can't even take a random blow from himself. But he didn't even raise his hand. Advertisement. Just a thought, using the unique Conqueror's Haki essence, turned into a shockwave, blocking it in this way. It certainly exceeded Rayleigh's predictions, and judging from Levi's words and his still calm expression, it was as if he had guessed that he would appear. This feeling that the opponent has already predicted it is not very good for Rayleigh. Although he has been hiding in Sabaody archipelago anonymously. But if you really want to look for it, you can still find some clues. The reason why Marine and world government have not launched a large-scale manhunt for him. It was due to consideration of the possible losses and the fact that he had been keeping a low profile. If you can do it without any effort, wait until he dies peacefully without causing trouble. World government is also acceptable, but now that we have taken the initiative, it will not be so easy to live a peaceful life. And as others expected, this situation was not what Rayleigh wanted. Young man, let's stop here. But thinking about it, Rayleigh is also a decisive person. There are some things that you won't regret once you decide to do them. That's not okay. Levi shook his head calmly, wishing he could stop. Levi won't be coming, so why not let the original actor Kizaru come? They are not the vicious pirates you think. Seeing that Levi was young, Rayleigh thought it would be best if he could persuade Levi to give up and not fight. Advertisement, I know. Levi nodded truthfully. Then you should know that this is not necessary. Rayleigh was a little surprised, and he saw Levi's understanding look. It doesn't feel like lying, and there is no need to lie. No, this is necessary, because he is my credit, and you are also credit. If the probability of Straw Hat bringing it is only 50%, but if you are included, it is basically 99% yes. Thank you in advance. Levi suddenly smiled greedily. Young man, you are really ambitious. It doesn't make sense. Rayleigh glanced at Luffy from the corner of his eyes. This person is very similar to the captain. Maybe it's time for him to take a gamble? I don't have much time left to live. Do I still have the right to wait any longer? He seemed to have the aura of Captain Roger, but now in Levi's precision-oriented Reiatsu. Luffy, Zoro and the two were unable to escape for a while. Reiatsu's thin pillars shrank and the space became increasingly cramped. The two of them were unable to move even an inch. Walking in the Reiatsu was like carrying 100,000 heavy mountain on their backs. So Levi doesn't worry about them escaping. I also want to see the strength of One Piece's deputy. This is Levi's innermost thoughts. Then I'm not polite. No matter whether it's a pirate or a marine, in the end, strength will speak for itself, Rayleigh said. The body is filled with the aura of a tyrant, fierce and domineering, with traces of Black Conqueror's Haki wrapped around the famous sword. The aura of a downtrodden uncle in his whole body suddenly became as sharp as an unsheathed sword. He decided that the young man in front of him was worthy of fighting with all his strength. And this is the real him, the former Overlord Sword, Pluton Rayleigh, a ghost-like existence. 23. Rayleigh, you shouldn't have fought conquerors with me. First update, please vote for flower evaluation. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Pluton Rayleigh. Why is he here? Gion and Zon Momomaru were both shocked. Pluton Rayleigh, one of the world's most legendary pirates. The deputy of the Pirate King and one of the top swordsmen in the past. His swordsmanship is ferocious and domineering, like an evil ghost, so he is called Pluton. His deeds have been written about in many books by the world government. Serve as a negative teaching material to educate the people of the world. Even if he is old, he still wants to take action against this legend. You still need to be mentally prepared to pay a huge price. Now comes suddenly, Zon Momomaru and Gion feel very heavy. Is this the change, he said? But how did he expect it? Gion looked at Levi, who was facing Rayleigh, full of confusion. But now is not the time to delve into this. She wanted to take down the Straw Hats and the others as soon as possible. As long as they are taken down, Rayleigh will have no target to save. It is very likely that he will give up and leave. If he took action, it might just be a whim. Judging from the situation, Straw Hat Luffy has just arrived at Saboti Archipelago not long ago. It is unlikely that he has any deep friendship with Pluton Rayleigh. PX. Let's stop the bear. Zon Tamaru looked at the battlefield and did not choose to ignore it. He takes the pacifists to stop the bear and trades places with Gion. Zon Momomaru once claimed that he was the most defensive man in the world. But is it true or false? At least it proves that he is good at defense. And now, he controls emission-level Haki. Advertisement. Even if Levi is not here, according to the development of things, Luffy will be there later. They will also be knocked out of the air by his palm. This is enough to show that his combat power is superior to many vice admirals. Not to say it's stronger than Gion, but it's not that much weaker either. Now take the pacifist, with his defense. Coupled with the understanding of the tyrant bear, it is no problem to stop the tyrant bear. Gion, on the other hand, has strong combat power and sharp attacks, plus Levi's Reiatsu pillars interfere with him. It is entirely possible to take down the Straw Hats in the shortest possible time. As for the battle between Levi and Pluton Rayleigh, from Zon Momomaru's point of view, it shouldn't be that easy to determine the winner. I won't let you go easy. If you can block my attack, you will live. If you can't block it, you will die. As soon as the bear was blocked, Gion raised his sword and struck at Zoro. Zoro was startled, cold sweat broke out on his forehead, but he still reacted quickly. 3 swords were crossed, and his keen perception allowed him to capture the Gion Vice Admiral's sword. With a loud roar, Zoro was directly knocked away by Gion. You can see it, but the strength and speed can't match it. There is a big gap. A woman has such a powerful power. What is that power covering the weapon? Zoro was horrified. At the same time, he remembered the woman who had always dominated his swordsmanship in his childhood memories, Kuina. If she had survived, would she be as powerful as this woman today? Just as Gion was preparing to pursue the victory, Luffy transformed into second gear. A jet rubber machine gun fired at them, but they were all blocked by Gion. At the same time, an airborne emission knocked Luffy away. Not to mention Zoro and Luffy who encountered pacifists before they were seriously injured. Advertisement. Even if Zoro was intact, Luffy didn't consume so much energy just now. Against Gion, they had no Haki and no fighting experience, and their swordsmanship was not as good as Gion's. He is also destined to be defeated, but they still have a chance to resist. After all, Gion isn't a real admiral yet. Okay, but the most important thing is the battlefield on Rayleigh and Levi's side. Rayleigh got serious though, but I don't plan to fight. I only need to entangle the Marine headquarters with the highest combat power. Just create a route for the Straw Hats to leave. Once the 2 of them leave, he can withdraw. There is no need to decide the winner. Therefore, Rayleigh's first sword, wide open and close, was not aimed accurately at Levi. Instead, it covers the entire area. Rayleigh, entangled with the Black Conqueror's Haki, is more terrifying and powerful than simply entangled with the armament Haki. There seemed to be an evil ghost condensed behind him, and a cold aura like Shira condensed. Then he raised his long sword high and swung it, causing the void to tremble, and even Levi's Reiatsu pillar was affected. The small pillar of Reiatsu that was close to Rayleigh was shattered by the sword force rising to the sky. Cut vertically, it contains the rhyme of swordsmanship from simplicity to simplicity. A majestic sword energy that could almost compete with the mountain peaks spurted out. Covering a large area, the sword energy roared like a violent storm. The atmosphere keeps making harsh sonic booms. One sword, extremely domineering and majestic, make the world change color. Advertisement, no weaker than Hawkeye. Gion only took one look and came to a conclusion that she couldn't believe. The legendary pirate is almost equal to the admiral. It seems that he should not be underestimated, Levi commented looking at the sword energy. I've never seen him use anything other than Haki. Maybe I can see him now. Gion looked at Levi with a little anticipation. Huh. But Levi just shouted softly. Everyone saw that streams of Conqueror's Haki formed light blue streams with black outlines behind Levi. As Levi stepped out in one step, hundreds of streams rushed straight towards the majestic sword energy. In an instant, the sound of earth-shattering explosions and roars echoed in the air. Shockwaves and energy tides collide wildly. The surrounding Reiatsu pillars continued to collapse. Barbarian Ghost Sword. Rayleigh's black Haki was monstrous, covering the sky and the sun, and the sword light all around was sweeping the heaven and earth, and even cracks appeared in the atmosphere. In an instant, hundreds of sword energies bombarded Levi. Waves of Reiatsu flow around Levi, crushing all Rayleigh's attacks. At the same time, he moved closer to Rayleigh step by step. The two continued to fight, shattering everything in the atmosphere. Make everyone around you tremble. Too strong. Even if Vice Admiral is accidentally dragged in, he may not be able to survive. After reaching a certain distance, Levi will instantly change the real soul damage to soul deterrence. And explode with all your strength, raising it to the maximum. Boom. An unparalleled sense of oppression broke out, making Rayleigh feel even more stressed. I even felt a little scared. But Rayleigh refused to admit defeat and soon unleashed the powerful Conqueror's Haki. At this moment, Levi smiled. As expected, a strong man is more confident. Pluton Rayleigh, you shouldn't fight Conqueror's Haki with me. 24. This is not the look a caregiver should have. Second update, asking for comments and flowers. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement really didn't understand what Levi meant by this. What happened to Conqueror's Haki duel? Although my body is getting old, I am still 76. But Conqueror's Haki doesn't let age weaken it. Conqueror's Haki represents a person's courage and willpower. It is not a direct manifestation of combat power, although it can also be used for entanglement. But it's more of a competition of willpower. Rayleigh was so excited that she couldn't help but cast Conqueror's Haki. Because there are not many strong men like Levi in the world. And being so young deserves to be taken seriously. He didn't think he would lose in Conqueror's Haki at all. Over the years, he has never put down the sword in his hand. Instead, sharpen it and wait for the final moment. Then bright sword whirled. So Rayleigh saw Levi getting aggressive step by step. Rayleigh, who owns Conqueror's Haki, is naturally not to be outdone. He is not someone who gives in easily. If he gives in easily and gives in, he doesn't deserve Conqueror's Haki. To put it bluntly, Conqueror's Haki loses the battle. It also cannot affect or determine the final result. I can only say that I am not as good as Levi in terms of courage. Regardless of the outcome, Rayleigh couldn't figure out why Levi said that. Advertisement I shouldn't have used Conqueror's Haki. Why? Rayleigh is puzzled. But the competition between the two in terms of courage and intimidation suddenly began to collide. There was a loud noise, and the entire Sabaody archipelago shook violently. Many people ran screaming into the square. They all thought it was an earthquake. A light blue circle with a black outline. The Reiatsu shockwave blasted towards Rayleigh's golden circle Conqueror's Haki. The two were like two giant beasts colliding, refusing to give in to each other. You pushed me so hard that we were blasted in midair. With each passing second, this collision renders hundreds of people unconscious throughout the Sabaody archipelago. And those are just ripples. The Conqueror's duel was so terrifying, Zhang Taowen couldn't help but be horrified as he looked at the two people at the center of the duel. Conqueror's Haki is already rare. I want to see two strong men with similar strength competing on the sea, who also have Conqueror's Haki. It's so difficult. Under normal circumstances, some people may not meet them once in their lifetime. But after meeting the person, I wish I had not met him. Luffy and Zoro endure the aftermath of this confrontation. It became more and more difficult, and their consciousness gradually became blurred. Only the last trace of unwillingness remains. Gion gritted her teeth. This kind of confrontation is too violent. It was obviously not a killing contest, but it still made them feel an unprecedented sense of oppression. The look in your eyes is not what someone who is dedicated to taking care of his old age should have. Are you waiting or planning something? Levi felt Rayleigh's will. Advertisement. Some things that were once speculated have become reality at this moment. If you are someone who only cares about your retirement, you will never be able to compete with your Reiatsu to this extent with Conqueror's Haki. Cough. Rayleigh suddenly coughed slightly, and her body seemed to be unable to bear it. But it's well covered up. However, Levi suddenly saw that Rayleigh seemed to have old injuries. Not as healthy as he usually appears. You know, in terms of age, he is 4 years older than Whitebeard. And he was also very hardworking when he was young, which was somewhat hidden. In this world, Garp should be the only one among the elderly who can exert his full combat power regardless of his age. Almost none of the old monsters and legends from the old era can be as evil as Garp. Time is a terrible thing. It seems you also have a lot of things you want to know. Rayleigh smiled calmly. Everyone has curiosity. Becoming an admiral at such a young age is indeed something extraordinary, but you are still young. Have you ever thought about what would you do if the justice you insist on is not correct? Rayleigh looked at Levi and asked seriously. Although there were only a few confrontations, Levi deliberately controlled the scope of the aftermath. He is not the hawkish marine like a Kainu who pursues victory regardless of the life and death of the people. But it has its own bottom line. Why do you all think I'm fighting for justice? I don't have that kind of thing. Rayleigh was stunned by Levi's words. Not fighting for justice. It shouldn't be. If you don't stand for justice, why are you holding on to the straw hat? His grandfather was a Garp, after Eni's lobby. It has already spread in the underground world. Not doing this for the sake of justice in your heart may offend the marine hero. Advertisement. It seems unnecessary, and young people should be the easiest to be brainwashed by justice. With Levi's strength, Rayleigh feels that he is definitely not afraid of Garp. But there is no reason to offend a being with such terrifying influence in marine. What for? And Rayleigh couldn't believe that those words just came out of the mouth of a marine admiral. This is really rare, a marine admiral who has no justice in his heart. So what's on his mind? Although I don't know what you and Roger are planning, maybe it is more important than the chaos of an era. Saving all mankind? Or is it to revive something more important than life? But these actually have nothing to do with me. There's only one thing I've always believed in. What? Rayleigh Conqueror's Haki kept shouting, but was also curious about everything Levi said. Strength. As long as I have strength, no matter what chess you two play or what the final result is, I have the possibility to turn things around, and for this strength, I need you to be my military exploits. Levi said truthfully, this is nothing, very hidden. Because that's what he believes, for the strongest. Ha ha ha. You are so young and energetic. This means becoming the strongest person in the world. Can you do it? Rayleigh suddenly felt that Levi was an interesting person. He sees world government and pirate legends like them as his stepping stones. Even Captain Roger, Rock said is most powerful. I have never been so arrogant. no wonder Conqueror's Haki is so scary at such a young age. It turns out that in his perception, everything in the world will surrender under his feet in the future? Will he become the strongest person? Is this difficult? Ha 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 ha, funny kid. Go all out, this way, no matter whether you win or lose, you will live up to your reputation as a man. Rayleigh said frankly. As he spoke, Conqueror's was also upgraded to Ultimate. As you wish, don't worry, I will make full use of the credit you have brought to me, Levi said lightly. You are so confident, but unfortunately, it should be me who wins. 7% 25. Bite from the soul, you are not Conqueror's Haki. Third update, please vote for comments and flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Rayleigh is very confident in herself. Conqueror's Haki keeps pounding Levi. It's a pity that I couldn't get more things. But there are some things that I'm afraid you won't reveal until the time comes. I just don't know if you will have this opportunity in the future. Levi said, his body was like a floodgate, and with a bang, it all opened instantly. Countless Reiatsu streams became more and more violent in an instant. It's like a tsunami making waves has been cut into sections and controlled in your hands. Then, as if it came to life, Reiatsu surged to form a giant mouth and sharp claws. With a sneer, like a sharp weapon, a gash was cut in Rayleigh's Conqueror's Haki. Peeved. Rayleigh was caught off guard and was immediately taken a step back. His internal organs and mind were violently impacted, and he opened his mouth and vomited blood. Then he showed a look of disbelief. How is it possible? Conqueror's Haki can still be used in this way? Attack with imitation objects? Impossible? In the final analysis, Haki is just the development of the deep potential of human body and soul. It is an energy that can only be used to cover or entangle. Rayleigh has lived for so many years and has met 50 or 60 Conqueror's Haki. But there are definitely more than 10 or 20. But Conqueror's Haki can only explode. The most powerful ones can only deal substantial entanglement damage. How could it suddenly become like a living creature, flexible and changeable? And it can also eat other people's Conqueror's Haki. Advertisement, have you ever felt the feeling of your soul being torn apart? Rayleigh-san, it hurts a bit, please bear with it, drink. Pung. Levi's Reiatsu suddenly became more and more violent and terrifying, and the rushing water condensed into an unprecedentedly large mouth. Ooh, he bit and swallowed Rayleigh's Conqueror's Haki in one gulp. Rayleigh never thought about this, so it was impossible to prevent it. In his opinion, even if he loses the competition, at most it will only be that the Conqueror's Haki is shaken away. It is completely unexpected that someone might directly trace the origins from the outbreak of Conqueror's Haki. Hit his brain directly, as Levi's words fell. Rayleigh's brain felt like a heavy blow, as if a sharp knife had pierced his brain and soul. At this moment, Rayleigh finally realized something. You are not Conqueror's Haki at all. I never said that I was. My power is far superior to Haki, so I said, you shouldn't fight Conqueror's Haki with me. Conqueror's Haki is the place of spiritual will. It is hidden in the body and will not explode. When you come out, you are equivalent to having an extra layer of shield on your soul, but once it explodes, your fragile soul is completely exposed in front of me and can be seen at a glance. Levi's soul perception sees all this clearly, unless there is a strong person who can consciously reserve some power to defend himself after Conqueror's Haki breaks out. But under normal circumstances, people in this world don't have this habit. In all Conqueror's encounters, there is no full release. They all want to crush their opponents as much as possible. Rayleigh was knocked off guard by Levi, and her head felt like a heavy blow, and she was momentarily confused. Before Rayleigh could react, Levi's waves of Reiatsu were crushing him one after another. Like a galloping army, it pierced Rayleigh's Conqueror's Haki. Rayleigh was instantly killed and was completely defeated. In the end, it was like a thunderbolt that directly hit Rayleigh's heart. Peeved. Rayleigh was knocked straight into the ground. Rayleigh noticed that the power directly impacted her spirit. Advertisement immediately prepare Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki to resist together. But Levi, who was well prepared, couldn't let Rayleigh defend so smoothly. Soul deterrence. Boom. A thick beam of Reiatsu light was crushed at a fixed point. Rayleigh was instantly suppressed and unable to move. Before his defense could be formed, he was crushed by Levi. Such a terrible sense of pressure and oppression, even my actions are affected. It seems that the rumors are true. This little monster may really stun the strong men in the entire Marine headquarters. How is that possible? That's Pluton Rayleigh. Uncle Rayleigh, the straw hat, which was taken off by Guion at this moment, also looked at Rayleigh with great worry. They saw two people competing against Conqueror's Haki, and after a brief stalemate. There was a legend in the past, Pluton Rayleigh was knocked out while spitting blood. Then he was directly hit by a thick beam of light in the sky. The whole person crashed to the ground, making a huge crater in the ground. Rayleigh seems defeated, and it was defeated so cleanly. Now in the pillar of light, Rayleigh struggled to get up holding the famous sword. Although he looked slightly embarrassed, his eyes were still sharp. There was a look of horror on his face, but there is also a kind of calmness and joy. In my lifetime, I can still meet such a strong person. That's great, it's really exciting, old man, Rayleigh said to his sword, standing up slowly against Levi's Reiatsu. It's so heavy that Rayleigh feels incredible. Even when facing the captain, rocks seem to be oppressive based on his momentum. Advertisement, I can't even let myself feel this way. I feel like my soul is trembling instinctively. What kind of power does this young little monster have? The sea is not calm anymore, but at this moment, Rayleigh heard Luffy's voice, and observation Haki instantly sensed what was going on. Even with the obstruction and interference of bears, Gion still successfully took down Straw Hat and Zoro. Under the kind of pressure just now, even if these two people have great abilities, they are still affected and unable to move. And Gion has experienced Levi's Reiatsu suppression several times. He has already adapted to it, and he is stronger than the two of them. Able to move reluctantly, no surprises this time. When Rayleigh saw this, she was slightly silent for a moment. Straw Hat was caught, his fight seems pointless. But should I take a gamble? Rayleigh looked at Luffy, at the Straw Hat, and the temperament and courage he had not long ago. And now, although he is unwilling to accept his arrest, he can accept his fate calmly. He has made a decision. Then, let's take a gamble. Don't wait anymore, Roger. Waiting is really a tortoise thing. I lost. Rayleigh suddenly let go of the weapon in his hand. In the horrified eyes of everyone, he raised his hands. Levi was also stunned for a moment.